Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of Free Spacer. I am your game master and host tonight. I am Eric. And you're not here to see me, you're here to see our crew. So, Adam, take it away. Tell us who you are and who you're playing tonight.
I'm Adam playing Chuck. I'm flying this thing, but I'm not the captain, so I can avoid all responsibility. Both me and Chuck are he, him. And I also made that music because music is cool.
Right? Isn't that great?
Alice, who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Alice, also known as Halfcat. I'm playing Hushinalia, also known as Hush. She's a very tall snake lady and also the ship's engineer. Also, this lemonade's really good. Anyways.
And then it's me. I am Jean of Dazer, also known as Dazer. It's very secretive, my code name. Both me and my character go as they, them. My character is Tukavi Rakana, also known as Raykana or Ray or Stop Panicking. So, yeah. And then our captain, so I'm on the ship. I'm research only. My boss, my former boss, my current captain, the Ben.
Hey, Ben Dutter, he, him pronouns. I play Captain Plark, who's a short, weird little frog dude with holes in his head.
Yeah, I feel like you have more qualities than just your physical ones. And we'll see them in a little bit.
I mean, do they matter, though? That's Plark's most interesting quality, the holy head.
Their sense of humor.
Sure.
Their thank you cards. They never forget a birthday.
He would automate all that. He has a program that sends like 3D printed cards. Anyway.
Oh.
It's like robotic handwriting on them.
Yeah, it's a robot that actually writes it out as opposed to like printing it. Yeah.
It's not a font. It's just a little robot. Love it.
Oh, yeah, that is cute. Cool. And speaking of cute things, this is the crew of the Dev Jin Chimera. And we're going to get into some more trouble tonight. And by trouble, I mean no trouble at all. Everything's going to be okay. And everything's going to be very, very, very safe and fun and sweet. But for that, yeah, I'm Eric. I'm your host, Game Master, he or they pronouns. And I'm responsible for everything else in the world and making sure none of that stuff happens, right? The principle of the game is to nothing bad happens to the ship or anything, at least. Definitely not to give you challenges. No, that couldn't be right. But we'll see. Okay, so who wants to do a quick little recap of what happened last year? Or last session? Last year? Last cycle?
Feels like last year.
Don't be shy.
As the captain, I nominate Chuck.
Oh, this is how it's going to be.
I second that nomination.
That buck passed right on down.
That's right.
We were flying through space, and the space mayor, who I assume Clark reports to, did not fix all the space potholes caused by all this encrypted communication shooting through. And we all freaked out, and it was great. And then one of them infected the ship, which was not so great. Like all of the ship and all the stuff, and we had to flood Ray's room to keep they from having a bad time. And Hush was like hyperstar of everything, and kept us all from dying, so that we had time to go over and try and figure out what the heck was going on. And I think that we ended with kind of the full-on emergency brake. Bootlegger turn towards the ship, sending out all these things so that we could stop full-out galactic hot war in the soon time.
Yeah.
That's about right?
That sounds about right.
Bootlegger turn, smoke up, freeze frame, and then the credits rolled. I think
we also made a weird containment device for an alien thing.
That's right. You should talk about that, though, because that was your character's thing.
That's fair. I mean, we made a weird containment device for an alien thing. That's what happened.
I feel like that's a very brief summary of what you actually did.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. All right, so you guys are folding space away using your sweet 0-point drive to get over there. And when you know it, you guys are having another quick little like, hey, here's a chance to know the crew kind of thing. Okay, and you guys, so you had a heck of a day, right? Considering what we're doing last time, I'll move to the game screen. You're having a heck of a day, everything you were doing, and so you had a chance to finally do some rest if you are someone who rests. And I wanted to see sort of like and have a glimpse of everybody goes around and tells me a little bit about like what your morning ritual is like, to get yourself into character here. So like, what does it look like when you wake up, and like what are the things that you do here? So if somebody immediately has one, they can go first. Otherwise, I'm going to ask the captain to begin to designate.
I'll just start. Why not? I'll choose myself.
Sure. Lead from the front.
So Captain Plark, his morning routine, well, his people are biphasic sleepers. So they sleep in a short chunk and then awake, and then a short chunk and then awake, compared to like humans with a single long sleep. So he doesn't really perceive morning in the same way that the solar folks do on the rest of the ship. And being from the swampy world at Glathor, it's also very weird twilight. So he would probably very gradually ease up the amount of sensory exposure he would have. So I imagine he's sort of a meditative process in the morning so I was actually thinking about this out of character this morning of translating piano keys to keyboard keys. So he does a very similar thing where, and by keyboard I mean like QWERTY keyboard, not like piano keyboard. He does a similar thing where he translates like visual art spectra into a code, an auditory code that he can perceive better with his head hole ear things. So I imagine it's just a strange like sunrise chiming sound as the lights in his room just kind of pulse up and down as he's trying to acclimate to more human tolerable life support systems.
Awesome. I like that. So do you have to put on like a lot of like, when you have to like transition back to sort of like the rest of the ship sort of light level, brightness level, and sound levels, do you, when you're trying to sleep, do you have to like have a, like the sounds of home of Glathorn like around you?
No, I think he's lived on ships and space stations so much of his life that he's used to that kind of background thrum or whatever that like background radiation sound is of the engines firing and the 0 point tech. So I think he's pretty used to that. I think that if he actually went to Glathor, he would have a much harder time acclimating than he thinks he would. Like he's been away from home for so long that it's unusual. So I don't think that he would require any like headgear or anything, but he thinks his version is like Glathor, but it's not actually like Glathor much at all.
Okay, cool. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'll do it. So I mean, Hush's morning routine is mostly a checklist. Like it's wake up, breakfast, which is like what most people would do for like lunch or dinner if they were like in Texas and like didn't know what a vegetable was because she's a carnivore, like actually. So like breakfast is more like barbecue sort of stuff. So like breakfast because it's the most important meal of the day. And then a checklist for ship stuff. So it's like how's the ship running? Quinn, what's like diagnostic run, etc. And then like pretty much just like making sure everyone else is like, I feel like if anyone on the ship is going around waking people up, it's Hush. Like if there's like a morning meeting or anything like that, it's Hush walking around like knocking on people's doors.
Yeah. Clark, do we have a morning meeting?
Of course we do, obviously.
600 stand up.
Yeah, no, it's probably like very brief meeting, but it's mostly just for him to see to see if his sensors are aligning with like reality, because he's checking up on the crew constantly.
Also, I definitely think Hush is like a weirdly early riser, like wakes up at like our equivalent of like 5 a.m. every day. sort of deal. It's like everyone's like when people wake up early, they wake up and walk into the mess, and they could smell like barbecue. It's because Hush has been cooking.
I want my house to smell like barbecue. That's a great.
Eric, live your best life. There's nothing stopping you.
That's right.
Well, I don't have a smoker.
Put a roast in at like a low heat overnight. You'll have pulled pork in the morning.
Oh,
What you need is barbecue scented incense, Eric. There you go.
no, that would just make me really hungry all the
Set
No
time.
some barbecue
creatures.
sauce on fire.
No creatures had to die, but you get the smell, so it's a win-win.
It's true.
No, that's just a lose because the smell is the preview to the actual eating. Anyways,
That would be. So, like, does the ship filter out the smells, or is it kind of like does it permeate the ship?
Hush has totally stopped it from filtering.
I was about to say it probably should,
Yeah.
but now doesn't.
yeah, I think like 100%. Oh god, it's better. It's not even just the mess, right? Because like the mess isn't equipped. Like the mess is supposed to like give you your nutritional like equivalent slop like sort of deal. Like what is happening is she's jury-rigged the fucking like workstation at one of these places, like one like in one of her like in the engine room to like function like a smoker.
Cool. Actually, yeah. How about before we move on, your smoker is giving you crap.
Oh.
It's like you know when like a Keurig machine is like not working and it makes that, or like it just finished, it goes with that
Sure.
like that thing. It's totally making like a sound, and it's not, and it's rather than smelling like barbecue, it definitely smells like the heating component is frying, and so you have to like take a look at it real quick.
Okay, very quickly. My mouse died, so I need to grab another battery, but one's right there. So just give me like
Okay.
5 seconds.
Perfect. That's why. Yep. No problem.
It's what real life art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I love the idea that you have to fix different things, and that gives me a time to describe a little bit about the ship that we didn't really do last time that I wanted to mention. So a big part of the ship is that a lot of things you have to be doing things virtually, like from a virtual sandbox kind of perspective that we were talking about last time. That I want to bring up more. Like our engine itself isn't like a warp drive so much as it is some sort of like row upon row of like either like server stacks or like in a radial form of like these weird diamonds. Like they're special, like this is a special part of the game. That's kind of how 0 point energy works, is that these rows and rows and rows of these special diamonds. And like the only way, like the easiest way to interact with them is through sort of like your software interface to deal with them. So when things are happening, zoomed in dramatically. When things are happening, you have to do things virtually. And so I was going to ask Alice whether or not, when it comes to dealing with how you set up this hacker thing, you hacked this smoker thing, if it's whether or not it's software based or it's actually like pulling apart physical stuff of it.
I mean, like set it up or like diagnosing it, because like I feel like it's the workbench, right, which is a physical thing more than the like right as because it has to deal with like robots and like as like welding equipment and things like that.
Which is why it's more software based, because you have to write the stuff to then controls the robots. It's not really like you necessarily doing it, right? But maybe I'm wrong, and that's what I'm asking you.
So I mean, I imagined it more hardware than software, but
Okay.
it can.
Yeah, so it's decidedly, it's almost like you
it's
keep
super
it
low
lower
tech.
tech,
Like knobs and dials
intentional.
instead of like
Yeah,
punching
like it's
in
analog.
numbers.
So
Yeah.
well, yeah, like
Okay.
she has
That's gotta be so
familiarity with.
frustrating. Yeah.
She has familiarity with both high and low tech, but if she is making something herself, will typically choose to make it low tech. So for other people, it seems super analog and stuff, but it's like in a weird way, it's sort of a lot of how soul engineers function is make what you understand, not what not it's your ship. It doesn't matter if anyone else can understand it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. So I was supposed to do a thing, you said?
No, I was just saying that it was giving you crap. Before we move on.
I'll probably run a software diagnostic and then just hardware stuff.
All right. So you're doing that as we move on to the next screen.
Yeah.
You're trying to get the smoker to work, and you're like, cursing in snake tongue again. Cool. Who wants to go next?
Ray, do you sleep in, or are you an earlier person too?
think Ray is just always kind of about. Like they'll disappear for a little bit, but they don't like sleep schedule isn't a thing they have.
Are you continually late to the meeting?
I'm not always on time. This is not about me. It's about my character. And
too real.
When Kat was talking about the breakfast stuff, the kind of food that I eat is, let's just say it's well aged and from a variety of sources. And I think like I can't tuck into my like skull anymore, even though my tendrils are sort of like wrapped up into limbs because of the alterations that I've made. So I kind of like half tuck myself and kind of float around in my room. And there's these little like those moss balls that kind of float around that I like to munch on. That may or may not be like moss wrapped around whatever leftovers you've happened to scavenge from planets that we've been on, or random bones.
And this is because your room's filled with water, right?
Yeah.
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 That's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you?
I think. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Eric.
No, I was going to ask whether or not, like, is it, if you wanted to reflect, like, on Earth, what type of, like, so you fill something up with water, it's like, what does that mean, per se? Like, is this, if there was some sort of, like, oceanic or, like, some type of thing, like, what is it like that you simulate? Is it, like, the deep ocean? Is it, like, a tidal pool basin? Like, is what is your home?
It's like my species developed in deep ocean, but because of the modifications I have, like I can survive in like colder climates, like a tide pool. But there's always like the water is always a bit like foggy on the bottom. Like it's not quite silt, but it's simulated to be like that. And it's always like the temperature difference doesn't make sense. Like it's cold up here and I kind of like float in the middle and it's very, very warm. Like my floor is heated. But
Right,
then like
so-
the way the circulation is, it cools it off by the time it gets.
Yeah. Specifically, I guess I'm asking, like, what type of, like, ecology is it? Is it like a coral reef? Is it like a shelf? Is it, or is it like a pool? Is it like the deep ocean? Like, what does it give us the sensation of? Like, at the us watching your room in a weird way.
Watching.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what would the viewers see if they had a
Imagine,
cross-section of your part of the ship?
A dusty, kind of like muted ocean in like dark navies and blue. It's not like the bright green blue of the Caribbean or anything like that, but it is very vibrant in its blueness. And it's a bit, like I said, foggy. There's some specks of stuff floating around, and the walls themselves are a bit rough and jagged, like lava rock that's fallen into but has silt over top of it that I can like kind of pull myself along if I didn't want to swim anywhere. Okay. So there's definitely a texture to it. It's a very, very small room comparatively to like a regular room. I would think maybe like 10 by 7 at most. It's not very big. I'm not a very big person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you. No, I was just super curious about that on my own.
Yeah.
And as always, everyone else can ask questions too. It's not just me asking questions about find what's interesting and drill into it. Okay. Cool. And then,
Chuck, you were saying?
Yeah. Chuck just bunks over the cockpit. Like he's got his
like a hammock.
It's not even really a room. Yeah, it's like he's got a hammock there. And I think at one point, Hush suggested that she wanted to use part of his room for extra workspace. And I'm not sure if that actually ever happened, but Chuck was looking for any excuse to be closer to the controls at night. So he bunks over the cockpit and wakes up just before his alarm, which is like 10 minutes before Plark's meeting, and is just like, "Hey, Quinn, status." And Quinn's like, "Normal." And he rolls out and he probably sleeps in most of his clothes and then just wanders down towards the meeting room to try and beat a high score before the meeting starts.
Well, used to.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Clark broke it.
So he has no idea what to do now. So he's in the meeting room like 5 minutes early, and he's like, I don't want to be here early. So I think he probably wanders around the ship.
Awesome. Great. That's awesome. Thank you. Cool. All right. So what happens, Alice, what happens with your smoker?
I mean, like, is it an actual problem I'd have to roll for, or is it something that I can just?
No, it's
Okay.
trivial enough. It's trivial enough.
Yeah,
you're asking me.
I mean, in that case, yeah, I'm just like spent a few like an hour or so before the meeting, like taking it apart, fixing whatever's wrong, and like it's like is hungry now 'cause she hasn't been like had food, so she's gonna be grumpy through all the meeting.
Okay.
That's good for everyone.
Cool. All right. So, to refresh everybody, so I think we're gonna probably start as everyone gets together for the meeting, but that's also because of a refreshment of you guys are getting ready to like get into the space where the signals were coming from, right? But basically, when you're done folding space, the first things you can do is you can pick up on the tachyon rays of something, but that will definitely be requiring like scanning systems to be on and listening for them. But it's because you can't be detecting tachyon bursts of sort of like ship communications or anything like that. Basically just your standard like sensor array stuff until you are kind of like within system and done folding space. And so that's what you guys are about to pretty much ostensibly when you're done your meeting. So I just wanted to like have you guys have a chance to get together and talk about what you wanted to do when you will come to the source of those messages that you were hearing.
I had a question.
Sure.
Is my coral still broken or infected? Do I need to make a new one?
Oh yeah, no, your coral's not great. No.
I thought
it's just your pan. Like so
Yeah.
it's like so as far as things to be broken, it's not like the worst. It's just you're stuck in your default avatar rather than your preferred.
So it's the worst.
Yeah, no, it's
Oh yeah.
awful. It is
Sure.
just like the whole
just-
meeting,
you're just
even
an egg.
before, I'm like scanning pictures of things and like rebuilding certain reefs and like tweaking colors of stuff. Like sometimes I change it. I'm like, is this better than this? And they look exactly the same to you because you don't have my eyes. And I'm like, yeah. Is this orange too aggressive? Sorry, is this orange too aggressive?
Yeah, as you guys are waiting for the meeting to start, that's good.
Probably not even orange. It's like
No,
teal or something.
Yeah. The most aggressive orange is teal. Writing that down.
Yeah.
Please, yeah, no, that's but yeah, so I mean like Hush's plan, and she should tell everyone is like once we find the ship, we have a shuttlecraft, right? Out of character?
Yeah.
Like something like that. Like a
Yeah.
Cool. It was like we could try to scan it first, and then I and someone else could take the shuttle over.
Agreed. I believe we should follow procedure Alpha Gamma 3, which you guys all know, obviously. Clark
Obviously.
would have a detailed list. And it's like just a basic scouting procedure. Scan first, board second, kind of deal.
Clark, is this one that we would know because it's like the only one you ever have us follow? Or
Pretty
is
much,
it
yeah.
like one of three?
Yeah, it's like one of two. So you got like a 48% chance it's this one.
It's like Alpha Gamma 3, and then you got whichever one is don't go near the thing.
Yeah.
So shouldn't be that bad, right?
Yeah.
Your prize would probably be fine.
Nothing could go wrong.
Let's see. So if we're wanting to scan the ship first, let me see. Oof.
Yeah, where are we Sorry, Alice, but where are we oriented in space, Eric?
Yeah,
Like, are we on the way? I'm just not quite picturing our time scale correctly.
We just
Sure.
dropped out a jump.
Yeah.
And so we are in the area of this thing, but we can't see it because space is big.
You're way too far out of visual range. Yeah, the best thing you would have to do you're still following the trail, but as far as like getting any sort of bearings or anything like that, now that you're done folding space, it's totally possible to get some sensor range. Yeah, you're right on the periphery.
So yeah, Plark would just tell everyone to man your station.
Mm-hmm.
I will be on the tractor.
Remember
What kind of
Just
system
real quick.
is this, Eric?
Yeah, so real quick as a refresher, you guys are on the periphery of what's called the Calceus Cloud, which is a series of nebulas. Specifically, you're a little bit you're like one hex north, which is kind of just like a bunch of miles. A imperial ton of miles. I wish I knew the exact one, but I don't remember offhand.
So we see kind of beautiful nebula cloud thing, no stars in the immediate vicinity.
That's the thing, is like to see the nebula even here is like very, very difficult, other than like just the faintest bits of it in the distance. Like your guys are very far away, even being close to it right now. Yeah. So visual range is pretty boring. Nothing shows up.
What sort of role would be to find what sort of role would the scan be? Like to try and get within, like to actually find it.
So we actually have here on Roll20 now a sweet list of skills.
Radical.
It's called the skills handout.
Yep.
And so there's a couple ways to do this. It's probably going to be perception.
Perception, like augmented by our ship systems.
Yeah.
If you want to use thing, right?
Someone else can do it. I'm just trying to figure out what sort of thing would be. I don't think this is Hush's area.
So think of it
who
this.
Is our sensor person?
Yeah.
Listen to you thinking like we have a sensor person.
Oh, we talked about it. I thought, so Ray, I think is it.
And
I panic. Remember, I shouted a lot.
So, what I wanted to bring up is that this is a perception-based challenge, but to give you an idea of what you could experience is that by a specialty of survey is more of a wide net but shallow, while analysis is a narrow but deep. Horizontal versus vertical, right?
It's probably going to end up being survey to find it, though.
Yeah.
Do a bit of survey. Well, just mechanically speaking, I have 3 in perception and then another in survey.
Yeah. See, our scanner person, totally.
Look it. I got eyes that are a little too far apart.
You want to use pull some power and get the ships, because that's going to be 3 more dice.
Yeah. We're doing ship stuff on the ship. This will be a good chance to learn how things can help you and how ship interacts with people.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
Right. So to pick up on this ship is going to be an ambitious test, which means it's you're looking at a number 5 difficulty.
Okay. All right.
So it's not easy.
So if I click the dice next to perception, and then you said I'm doing survey because of broad but shallow, just to see if we can start to narrow it down. And then I'm pulling 3 dice by pulling power from the ship. Do you explain what that means mechanically and button-wise, just so I make sure I can do it right?
So I'll mark the ship system. So on the Dev Jin Chimera, over on the left, there's a power area with a capacity of 5, and our charge was at 5 because we're crazy. And so I dropped it down to 4. And over on mods in sensors, the survey sensor has 3 dice on it. And so because of that 1 charge, we get 3 dice.
Exactly.
Okay.
You get to you get to use a resource of the power of the ship to fuel one of your ship's skills, which then augments your roll with that amount. You're basically that's how you leverage the ship.
Neat.
And then if you roll like Alice, we'll get that charge right back.
Yeah. So just the trick now is to roll like Alice and
roll like Alice and not like me. Don't watch the previous show. Watch the previous show, but like don't look at my rolls.
Don't roll like Eric. Roll like Alice.
I'll roll like Eric when he's a GM. That's fair.
I know. I like this. I like games where I don't have to roll. I will have to roll, but I like it when I don't have to.
Actually, games. I put 3 in advantage because I'm rolling 3 extra dice.
You got it. Yep. Like I said, it's a 5. So.
What? Yes. Maybe if my num block was on. No, maybe. Okay, I did it. So I'm a little slow today.
No, you're good. So
thread dice.
Our first roll of the day.
5.
Okay.
Yep. And just a reminder, everybody, the way action resolution works. Perfect. There's 0 successes. And I was going to describe real quick, in case people this is their first time seeing, what to expect here and how dice pools work. This is a pool-based system where we were kind of talking about a little bit how you assembled your dice pool based on your individual skills and then using what's called like your reactor charges of either your crew or your own personal packs, depending on what you wanted to do. and kind of get a bunch of dice. And then you also roll a bunch of threat dice along with it that will try to cancel your successes. And by doing that, then you add them all together, and then the number of successes you get is how successful you are. 0 successes is bad.
Yeah.
1 success is a partial success, which is sort of your standard like failing forward Apocalypse World DNA style stuff. A 2 is a complete success. A 3 or a 4 is a critical, and a 5, so like 5 successes over your target, is a double critical. What criticals do specifically in this game is that they are just successes, but they return you that reactor charge. What that means when you return a reactor charge, so this isn't like an additional fictional triumph. This is just you return these reactor charges. You can then spend them if you want as currency. For example, if you were attacking something, you can spend them on extra damage and stuff like that. So like that's how you could end up using charges to augment and triumph your rolls in order to like succeed greater than what you are normally. But this game is very much like a success or not success or partial success in terms of that. There's not like a great success, if that makes sense.
And I get
Yep, to zoom back in.
I'm not even looking. Like I turn the machine on and I'm just like fixing with my coral.
No. In fact, your sensor system is yeah, it's bad. It seems to be working fine, but it doesn't seem to be going anywhere. You're not able to detect anything of the ship. However, you're already able to detect something in the ship, and that is coming down from the our engineering station, where we have a Faraday cage, kind of partially constructed. Because I wanted to zoom back in on that because this is what's called this was a project, and we're not done the project yet, and this would be a great time to introduce doing another roll to secure the project. Okay.
Sure.
So the problem right now is that the Faraday cage is basically trapping part of this, the cube. And this cube is basically a small little, almost like a diorama or a model of the astrolabe, which is a prolific cubicle cathedral-like planet that one of the great powers of our world has as their home. And so it's weird. It's weird that that thing was that your game station turned into this, and you've been trying to keep it at bay. It seems like it's trying, like whether it's just from. It doesn't seem to. You're not sure where it's drawing power from yet. Now without some more analysis, but it seems to be trying to like. It's trying to outdo your set up your project, so you have to continue working on this thing in order to get it working.
So it started to like back when we first grabbed it, it wasn't doing anything, and now that it's like being caged, it is reacting in some way.
Yeah, it's reacting to its environment and trying to break free.
Cool. I'm happy to try and increase the like shielding on it and be like, no, fuck you, you're not. This isn't happening.
So this is so everyone who's interested is playing along at home. This is called a fabrication project. And what we're doing is we're creating a module. And what that means is that you have 9 milestones, and that's kind of dictated by the number of successes you get, up to like basically 2. That part is like, so you're not gonna be able to finish it yet. This is just another stage of securing it and keeping it on lockdown from this thing for the time being. This is sort of like it's kind of like a long-term project in another game.
Sure.
Okay.
Where am I at now currently based on the bunch of successes I got last time?
You had a bunch of successes. So you're at let's just call it 3. You're a third of the way there.
Sure. Cool. I'm would I be able to do this with like shield mechanics and increase the shielding, because like that's what I made it out of like a inverted shield module.
Yeah.
So like, or would
modulating the shields again definitely makes sense. Inscription for writing like a new code to like do that, or maybe even hacking to like maybe not hacking. Hacking is kind of a stretch, but like I could see inscription, I could see shield modulation. All of those things sound pretty good.
Let's do shield mechanics.
Okay. And this is say hard.
Sure. So
4.
That 4. Okay.
Or dice of 4.
Is there? This is like a me, like in terms of scale. This is scaled to me and not the ship, so I'd use personal charge for it. Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, and this I think whether or not well, you could use your ship if you wanted to. You're not like you're not restricted from not using your ship power.
Sure. I just like in terms of like
that scale seems off, yeah.
Yeah. the scale of this thing versus the ship or this thing versus me is like.
Well, this thing is a powerful threat, so
sure.
Depends on, do you want to feel safe or sorry, like it's totally your call here.
Cool. If that's a thing, I think I'm cool just spending a charge. And like I essentially made this thing out of my shield to spend like my shield mod. Like I took it apart. So is that applicable to spend a charge and grab those dice from there?
So like from your personal?
Yeah, personal.
Yeah. Sure. So you're using your own personal shields to do this.
Yes.
Augment your role here. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and also I wanted to stress again, or at least reiterate what I said the first session, is that first off, that sublight travel from the missionary ship stuff is very, very eye-opening. That's something that should not be happening, as in like didn't know that was really possible. And two, this weird model cube, more importantly, pressingly, this is not like everyday free spacer stuff. This is very special. Like this is okay. I just want to be very clear that this is not like a normal day.
Yeah, it's 100% just like trying to get this thing contained, right? It's like almost a panic, but Hush doesn't show panic in the way normal people does. Hush's form of panic is curse at the thing and work harder.
I mean, it sure sounds like a normal day.
It's that or Captain Clark's form of panic.
You swear to love. See, that's how you do it. Look at those.
4 successes. Oh, yeah. So you get that charge back, and you're good to go.
You just had to set a good example.
You're working down that project real nice and good.
Cool.
Good work.
I will bump that charge up. So yeah, it was just like essentially making sure that the shield will modulate its frequency in such a way that it can't draw power from it because they're functioning differently. So like every time the shield, like the cube keeps trying to switch it up, the shield will switch. So it just keeps trying to contain it.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome.
So yeah, what does that put that project at?
2 more.
Cool. Okay. So probably 2 more times.
All right. But you do. I think after fixing that though, I think you're in a position where it was doing something maybe with your sensors. Like now that you realize, you're like, wait a second, this thing was interfering with like some sort of like trace amounts of tachyon emissions were interfering with the sensors, and you might be in a position. You're in a position to try your sensor array again, I should say. Or you guys could continue to get a closer look and go in, but not both. Or the other at this moment.
Can I ask Chuck's help?
I will help in any way I can.
Yeah.
What ways can I help, Eric?
Are you? Well, so there's 2 problems here. One is distance is obviously a big significant factor. You're trying to look for a needle in the haystack by being very far away. So getting closer could be exposing yourself to if there's anything around, right? So that's definitely a thing.
We are flying towards the cloud. That's what we're doing.
Right. Yeah. So that's an issue. Another issue is just I think there's probably just residual nebula interference that could also be affecting your sensor array. So maybe angling, that might not be the best part about the ship angling, but like getting your sensors kind of realigned in a way that negates that. So there's like 2 ways of adjusting your ship. I'm open to other suggestions, but those are your big problems, right? Your interference and distance are your 2 things from getting that signal that you want. So however you want to help or help augment our sensors, those are the problems you need to mitigate.
Raycon, I believe my best deal is just kind of flying in the direction of my intuition here, which is that something in that cloud is getting all screwy. So that's where we're heading. But I can't really point our array at anything that I don't know exactly where it is. So.
Well, okay.
So you're going to try to help them out by doing a piloting check here, right?
Sounds good. Yeah.
It sounds like in order to give a mechanical benefet, you are going to have to.
Complicated piloting check, but I'll take it. Yeah.
Well, you say that, but it kind of is. It is difficult because you are trying to mitigate interference, right? Without getting closer to the object, right?
There aren't explosions, but there's a delicate nature.
No, my hope is to get closer to the object, but I don't know where the object is. So I'm assuming that the object is somewhere near the cloud. So since we are way out on the edge of the system.
Oh, yeah, sure. This is just a 2 piloting check for you to just go ahead, go forward, ostensibly closer to the object.
And that's a threat too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So that's a partial.
Yeah.
Okay.
You dug your own hole, man.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. Everything seems fine right now. Don't mind me. I'm just going to progress. I'm just progressing success, something behind the scenes. You're fine.
That's still considered like a success.
It
correct?
is. You do. You maneuver the ship, and I'm saying that. Don't worry, everything's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
No, that's all.
You're
You're fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
So
Is that an advantage?
Yeah. So you get an additional. You have an advantage for this roll, for your sensor right here.
So still 5 threat. And so I learned how to pull one from the ship. But if I should I do that again and you lower it to 3, or is that like?
No, the difficulty doesn't go down. Just get an additional die. That makes sense. Like the difficulty of a task is.
Oh, it's not the difficulty that I'm talking about. Like, should I?
Oh,
when I say go from 4 to 3, I mean the power from the ship.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah. I'm
and
sorry.
By
I thought you were talking
I mean
about the
Adam,
threat.
not Eric. Sorry.
No, that's
vague pronouns and
all of these words. I understand.
Yeah.
What is going on, and we are gonna hit it.
Okay.
And everything is good.
All right. I'm gonna do the same thing I did before, except this time, now that I have an example of how to roll like Alice, I will do my utmost.
Oh, hubris.
No, optimism. The opposite of hubris.
Opposite is strong.
Threat 5. Cool.
Easy.
Hey.
2 is enough for a success.
Investigate.
Deep down, near the orbiting kind of around a nebula cluster. Oop, on your sensors, you pick up the fragmentary. I don't know, it's an anomaly of energy that you're like, oh yeah, that looks like it used to be a ship of some kind. It's not still broadcasting. It's sort of just like a residual cluster of just a bunch of noise that doesn't look like the noise of the cloud. And you're like, that could be the remains of the ship.
Like when you turn an old TV off and the screen kind of glows a little bit.
Exactly. It's the afterglow. Mm-hmm. This could be from a variety of things. Based on sort of like the wavelength, you know that's probably from a 0-point energy drive, like going critical.
We should tell the captain.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. Does that sound good? That sounds
watching,
good.
by the way. But you should still tell him. But he's definitely watching already.
I'm gonna tell Clark, and you turn around, and he's like right behind you.
No, he would be. I think, like I said, he was in the gunner bay. I don't know how that array looks like, the pulse array or whatever, but that's where he was.
The tractor.
Yeah, waiting to tractor something. But yeah, he'd be watching.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold our distance.
So Plark would just say, kind of out loud, so that Hush could hear as well. Say, target acquired, engaging tractor once we get within range. So basically what he's wanting to do is pull the ship out of this cloud, if we can.
We've already got one thing on this ship that's going to try and blow us up. And I'd rather not have 2 things on this ship that are going to blow us up. Can we figure out one of them before we try and figure out the other one? Or is time too much of a pressing matter here?
Don't we, if we get on that ship and stop it, then the thing on our ship stops.
I mean, that's a hypothesis.
Yeah. I've never been wrong before.
I only wish to avoid the nebula interference.
I mean, you've never been wrong about this before. I'll give you that.
See?
Okay, I'm going to try and get us right to the edge of our kind of tractor range, Eric. I assume
Right.
that's going to be a piloting roll.
Yeah, but before you roll, I'm actually going to, because you know that partial success that we got earlier, I'm going to go ahead and spend it now as a in employing a use of one of the traits of this place, of this zone, of this site, and it's capricious nature. And basically, as you guys are getting set up, I think because you have your sensor ray dictated to the ship, focused on that, there is a slight, like, there's no chance to detect it before, as it's getting built up, but there is absolutely some sort of like nebula, like corona-esh, like from a burst inside the nebula, coming your way. And now you guys do not have as much time to react as before, as you would normally. So this is basically a giant like flare from somewhere inside the nebula. So rather than it being necessarily like a corona, like super heat kind of flare, this is sort of like some sort of radioactive, you know, like of a different spectrum of light rather than visible, flashing at you, disrupting just a rippling space-time.
Is it going to hit us like straight away? Is that our countdown of doing a thing?
It's going to it's going to hit you before you get into range of and being able to engage your tractor beam.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
Cool.
You try to buckle down and withstand it, ride the wave? Do you try to resist and go away? Do you try to like speed up and go under it, you know, so to speak? What do you do?
Say blimey, and then
I hit the button up on the dash, and I'm like, "Hey, Hush, hold on," and then I just pound it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Good, because there's not enough time to make a consensus if you're going to make a choice here.
Yeah.
So just saying "hold on" is so. What is the answer, Chuck? What do you do as the pilot?
I'm gonna step on it
To outrun it, or
in.
okay,
We're gonna face the wave because you face the wave. That's how it works.
sure.
it's like jumping waves instead of letting them tip you over.
And we'll be totally fine. I've done this 100 times.
In
Ray's
simulations.
in their show.
Yeah.
So done it 100 times, only succeeded once.
That's right.
Ooh.
Better than never.
Never tell me the odds.
Right.
The odds are bad.
Well, this is definitely an arduous a test here, and my decision is whether or not this is a 5 or a 7. I was kind of debating in my mind, and because this is a threat, it's capricious. I think the only fair way here is I'm gonna quickly roll a die. Okay, it's a 5. Heads or tails in that regard. It's capricious. Why not?
Can I help in any way? Like a last minute, like put sensor energy towards the shields, or is it
Eric,
just
you're capricious.
It's a little. I think
late?
because it's capricious, I don't think there was enough time for you to see the sensor array for that to happen. I'm sorry,
Eric. Can we open like a tiny fold as part of this? Basically, not moving. We're just gonna fold in and then immediately. Right back out.
Basically, that's essentially dipping under the wave, right?
Yeah,
Sure.
We're gonna hit it, and then we've got the sensors, which is what Raycana can do to help me out. Trained on the wave, because having a fold open for that long without going anywhere is a dangerous time. So we want to do it as small as possible. So I'm like, okay, Ray, just tell me when, and then when they say, I'll just hit the button, and we'll fold and then unfold right after the wave. It'll be just fine.
I feel like
Sure. So you're basically making an astronavigation fold.
I feel like if you mess this up, we're gonna rip a hole in reality. So
It might be really bad.
Like we might have.
It's already really bad. Like we might already have a whole planet of people coming to kill us.
That's not the same scale of bad, in my opinion.
Well, certainly, if there's fold space tech, then people have tried to weaponize it, which means that this isn't that bad. There's way worse people doing worse stuff on purpose.
definitely happened before?
Yeah, guns shoot folded space time. Yeah,
I got Captain Plark on my side.
Clark hasn't quite caught up mentally where y'all are at right now. He's like, "What? A wave?" And now, that's where you're at.
Since it's a word, you're going through your physical interpretations of what a wave is. Like,
I want to be very clear that doing this is very dangerous, right? Like this is not something. This is like, if you wanted to do this, this would definitely put the ship at risk. This would definitely put like the ship at severe risk, is what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying that you should know what you're getting into. But like Chuck is,
with my piloting experience, do I believe that is more risk than just slamming into the wave?
Well, yes.
Because that's the thing that would then I'll just slam into the wave and have no fun.
Well, okay.
I think we should try. I think we should try it.
Okay, you don't want to trust variance.
Well, so it's not just like one might be more risky, the other like the complications of both could be different. Also,
exactly,
like,
they are, and the possibility space of bad outcomes and good outcomes is different depending on what you choose. The going into the wave is necessarily like kind of all pretty bad outcomes, but they're kind of more constrained than the wider great success. Go big or go home, essentially.
Going into the wave, the failures there are we all get radiation poisoning and die. Like that's the bad outcome there.
Modules of your ship could be damaged. That kind of stuff could be on here, but like not bad. It's not great. Yeah.
Bad outcome of the pocket like one is we all do an alternate dimension Star Trek episode.
I love those.
I'll have a mustache somehow. I don't have hair, but I'm sure it'll work.
If I've got Raycana on my side as far as hitting the sensors, then I think that's
several thumbs up.
I would want to go.
Thumbs up.
Everybody's clothes are about to get a lot darker.
See,
I'm going to grow a goatee. That's the deal.
Clark will have an edgy mohawk of weird little stubs.
Well, this changes the threat, obviously, because the risk is different here, right?
Sure.
You would know that this could be like basically deadly or so. So you're looking at like a 9.
Fuck. Okay. This is a bad idea.
So just to level set here, that's basically impossible mechanically, right? Like even if you're at max dice, you can't roll enough successes.
I'd only have 7 dice.
Well, so
but the 9 are D6s. Like it's always possible.
Yeah. Well, plus also taking into account ship systems too, right? Like
7 is taking into account the ship systems.
Not like your 7 versus 9 D6s. That's definitely possible. So like that's not.
Is that allowing? So I can't help because it's a quick action and you have to like react to something. Okay.
Right, because it's capricious and because our sensors were focused on the ship. I don't think you would have time to have detected this wave to do this. Like that's the reason why it's such a problem. The threat is the sensors in the first place.
We have 6 episodes. Let's burn it to the ground as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Well, but I also I radio hush and I'm like, hold on. If we're just going to slam into the wave, which was kind of my first assumption, I can get help for that.
I mean, yeah, if we were just slamming into the wave, I could honestly, really, I could probably do the same thing to our shields I was doing to the other thing and just filter out the radiation, right? Like that seems like a thing I could do.
Yeah.
Guck doesn't have a death wish.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you ask Hush's opinion, she'll be like, "You're fucking crazy."
But
what are you doing?
Like, if the fiction is, I don't know which one is actually difficult, then he's gonna do the jump.
Right. Chuck would know. Yeah.
Then he radios, and if you can do anything to the shields while we hit, do it, and we're pushing in.
Cool. Okay. Is that a thing I can do, Eric?
Oh
wait. Okay.
I probably more than the sensors, because once again, the sensors are the kind of the reason why we're in this mess. Yes, but I think this would definitely be more difficult than a regular test because you have to do this quickly.
Sure.
Right. That is a huge factor in this problem.
That's fair.
Okay.
That makes sense.
So you're doing shield engineer,
shield mechanics.
Yeah. So shield dynamics. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of what that would look like in terms of.
I mean, oh yeah.
Would this be the same difficulty as the rest of the test? Is my guess, and I'm not sure. Because what could go wrong modulating the shields like that?
Well, you can always overheat stuff or stuff's broken permanently or whatever.
The program you use to modulate the shield, like some, I don't know, sentient self-building thing gets a hold of some of that information and can use it to eventually escape.
Yeah. So like there's really so I really like how how Christoph mentions a fatal one is 35 and that's hitting a sun. So that's great. But it goes between deadly at 5 and lethal at 9. And so I think the shield is deadly, but not so much the whole ship. So I think it's not lethal. I think it's deadly.
So
5.
Okay. I would like to spend a ship system
Do
or
it.
ship charge.
The ship
Where
isn't
the-
helping me at all as far as flying, just based on how we built it.
Where is the thing?
Right.
So there's that. Where is I'm trying to shields? Here we go. Oh wait, we don't actually have any energy shield, like
That's right.
energy dissipator. So it's just all right. Cool. Never mind.
We weren't gonna get in a fight. This isn't really a fight, though.
Yeah, no, this is not a fight. So never mind. Can't do that. Put the charge back. I have no advantage dice. Let's do it.
Hit it.
Threats 5.
It'll be fine.
I still got a success.
Of course.
So you succeed, but I'm going to introduce another trait. But once again, I'm going to reserve that trait for this time here.
What a kind person you are.
You're not going to say that when I reveal it.
No. I still
Okay.
think you are.
But yeah, Hush goes like, "Shields ready. Please don't kill us."
Acknowledge.
Anything you could do. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna roll my flat 6 because again,
Sometimes
we've got
you gotta roll the hard 6.
We've got a fold inducer bonus, which is why I was like, oh, maybe we could use that, but not if we need like 20,000 more successes. We are talking 1 advantage die. Yeah. Eric, I think that roll is totally worth like 3 or 4. That's how that works.
No.
And
you got 1.
5 threat.
No, this is 9.
This is the running straight in is 9.
Yeah, I thought you said the crest was.
Yeah,
five.
the
Wait, you're not
folding
folding space. You're not folding
No.
space.
Yeah.
You're just gonna just basically buffet all your rear shields to to
Yeah.
aft from
All
power
our
shields to aft.
zero
Yeah, and just
real
basically
shields.
just drill and just withstand it, right?
Yeah.
But
I'm
hopefully
sorry.
for a very small amount
Yeah,
of time.
You're right. So it's
we're
5.
running straight
Fine.
into
That's
it.
cool. Yeah, I have no problem talking about it. I should make sometimes you forget the fictional space, and who cares? Because holy crap, you got 2 successes.
I'll take it.
That is great. Yeah.
I told you I've done this before 100 times. 101 now.
Cool. So I'm gonna spend my my trait here, and I was actually I literally have it as like overcharging, and it makes because like I'm so glad you used the shields then because that makes perfect sense. Now I think there's definitely your shield's absorbed rather than like repulsed. Like it's I imagine sort of the wave was too harmonic to the shields. So you guys are helped, but it just absorbed a lot of the blow, and so we're riding with the shield with the wave a little bit as you're like pressing through it, right? So imagine like your ship's getting knocked back as the wave is going forward until like you're finally able to push through, right? Like you're trying to like hold the train back and you're going slowly, that kind of thing, until you're finally able to drill. But that all that extra amalgamation, like heat and stuff, was like resonating with your shields, and now your shields are totally frying. And what are you gonna do about it?
I would like to have that
signals on your pan and everything. Like signals are going everywhere, being like overheat, like buffers are too full. Like we can't disperse this energy.
Yeah, so I
What do you do?
mean, like that's an automated thing it's supposed to try to do if they overheat, right? So I
But
feel like
There's no place for it to go.
yeah,
is the
that's what
problem. Yeah.
that's what I mean. So rather interesting. So if that like energy
Just
was
risk damaging
absorbed-
the module.
Yeah, if
Fine.
that energy was just absorbed, would it be easier to like shunt that energy into a different subsystem, like something like could it actually expel that energy?
Could you file it into our jump ship?
Well,
Like, if that's
I was thinking the tractor beam or something that could something that could like handle more.
Yeah,
energy.
I mean, we basically need to dissipate the heat, right? Because that's all it is. It's just like straight energy.
Heat
We
or
have
charge. Yeah, it's energy buildup on your
we have
ships.
nothing to convect against, right? So what I was
Correct.
thinking was, could we use something with mass to convect it to? Like, do we have water vapor from Ray's room or something that we can use to dissipate the heat? Or
I also have tubes all over the ship for emergency.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about
Yeah,
last
I mean, just vent some like gas or something to convert that heat into.
Totally, but then you would be you couldn't. I don't think it'd be best to go retrieve it afterwards, to use as water without a lot of filtration.
We can
but
get
it'd be
more
fine.
water.
Yeah, thank you, Plark. That is a great suggestion.
I mean, yeah,
That's total. Absolutely, you could do that.
Clark would not suggest that in character so quickly. He's thinking about that. What I'm suggesting out of character is, I think that these other smarty people who Clark hired to be on this ship would know of some other stuff to do.
I think Ray would probably think of it first because she's thinking about the water on the ship like all the time.
Well, yeah, but I don't know if I would think about getting rid of it. Like, I love that water. It's the water I need to live. Why would I?
Okay,
it's like one of you saying, let's get rid of the life supports just real quick.
This is going to sound awful. Hush would think of it.
Hush would think of it. Hush has thought of it before.
Yeah.
For an unrelated circumstance.
Not because that Ray isn't useful, but just because sometimes water is. So yeah. What would that be exactly? Let me check the skills. To like have the ship vent all that water and to like mist form.
I mean, it's not like being a gunner. Probably something similar to a shield engineer.
Speaking my language.
What's
like
the
a
skill that's
sensor.
closest to like life support? Or is there such a thing? I'm looking right now, but
Well, it might actually just be like inscription. Like you have to write something to or maybe it's even hacked. You have to override like the emergency,
where is it?
like ejection protocol for water. Right? Like you might have to like override something to do this.
Yeah, doing a code roll to be like, yo, program vent.
Well, specifically hack, because you're tricking the systems. Yeah, because the systems are in place to do this, right? But they're not set up to. But like, they're not.
Hack
they don't see this as a problem.
Because hack feels weird because they're like our systems, I guess.
Yeah. You're basically, you need to pull the fire extinguisher, and it won't let you because there's not an emergency, even though it doesn't see it as an emergency.
Well, so
it's like the older software engineering form of hack, where
mostly I just reading the differences. Code just seems much closer. Where hack is like the technique of exploiting network security and using to gain unauthorized access and things like that, which we have all the authorized access. Like the ship should be able to let us do whatever we want. Where code is crafting a program to do it.
Is that true?
That is how it's.
No. I'm saying. I'm sorry. Specifically, Alice's claim that you have access to all parts of your ship, including safety protocols.
Hush's ship.
Like Hush has access.
Right. I'm not doing this as a quiz or anything like that. I'm literally asking you as a fictional thing of like, do you have that like complete admin privileges to do that stuff?
I don't think Hush would ever fly in a ship she didn't.
So the trick here is that Hush does. None of the rest of us do.
Okay.
But Hush certainly does.
That's Quinn.
Hush goes over there and in the far future that writes, sudo expel water.
Clark thinks he does, but he actually doesn't.
Oh, that's
Hush has a
that's
custom
super
sudo
good.
that returns. Oh yeah, sure, you can do that. Let me check what it's happening first.
Let me check when it's actually scheduled. So does code still work? Is that an okay thing?
I think so. I just want to make sure anything involving like if there's not a specific biosciences role, which I'm pretty sure there isn't. Like at least like pertaining to this skill.
I mean, there is like
biomechanics.
There is biomechanics, but this isn't.
That's close.
This isn't really like a knowledge of biosciences, though. This is more of like a quickly making a ship do a thing.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. Okay, cool. As long as like I think talking about it and stuff like that is super important. And so, yeah, I agree. Yeah, let's do code.
Although you can use biomechanics to make explosives for future reference, so that's rad. I'm gonna have to.
I'm sure we'll never need to know that. Except
What
for like in 20
is
minutes.
what is
Your
the threat?
The threat, yeah, I'm looking at. Let's see. Is this experimental?
I mean, depends. It's not like it doesn't feel super complicated. Like we'd have to
But I don't think you've done this before because
Well,
I need
sure.
that stuff to live.
That's right. Like
have we
More,
cycled?
I was just going to ask. Yeah, do you
It's a
have
4.
to replace your water occasionally?
Yeah, like if we cycle the water every so often, then it's
Well, I think it's there's this thing you do with beta fish where you have to take some of their old water whenever you change the water to mix it in so they don't die of shock. I think it's something like that.
So tell me if this is accurate. How I picture that being, right? It was like typically we'd attach a tank to the ship, and it would take that water and then like add new water and then put that back in. There's just not a tank on the ship right now, so it's just all going out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're basically making a bypass valve instead of it going to this recycling. It's going right out into space. It's a way to just take all this energy.
So you said 4?
To convect. So the question was whether or not, it was either a 4 or a 5 based on whether this was considered an experimental technique or not, which is, I could see it going either way, and which is why I ask you all as the crew. And you think that this is something that, because of it's sort of part of like Ray's like filtration process and things like that, that this is not necessarily too far-fetched. That this is something that's been done before and not experimental. So it's a 4.
I can't think of any things to call upon in terms of like none of the systems make sense for this, so not going to.
Sure.
So it's just my 4 dice versus these 4 dice. 2.
Hey, you do it. Cool, that's good. You stopped it having cool. Otherwise, you're gonna have disadvantage on your checks and stuff like that, which is never fun. So that's good. Nice. Yeah, you guys. So that's a full success. You guys are able to disperse that that residual build up. Crisis averted. You're free to move in and look at the old ship.
So before that goes too far, Plark would just, he would have it up on his HUD, his like pan HUD or whatever, but he would say out over the comms, status report, update.
So I should be like, shields functional after now, sir.
Do I see that Ray's room got ejected?
Or is it that I only have my room left? I don't have any extra water to filter it out. Like, it's like when I talked about a ledge before, like it only has that like 4 or 5 inches of water.
I'm unsure. That's really up to Eric. Hush would have vented as much as necessary.
I think your room, even like a normal, your room fills up with water is all you have. You're not like minimum shallow only.
Okay.
Like you have enough in your room, but nothing else.
Okay.
The waves are calm.
For
now.
So it's like, Chuck, how's the ship? Controls.
It sure still seems like it's moving, and that's good. Eric, I'm not noticing anything weird about it, right? Once the shield stuff is kind of drained, it still controls just fine, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
there was no lasting conditions or anything to your ship that you need to worry about because you guys keep rolling very well. So no problems.
No, we're just that good.
No,
that's the deal.
Alice is that good.
For if anyone, if people, I highly recommend you pick up the book, and you will see that I am being a little generous with my threats.
Because you're the best.
That's definitely something that you should take into consideration. That some things should probably have been a 7, but that's just my style.
TPK us next episode, Eric.
Yeah.
There you go.
You don't want TPK us on the second episode. Geez.
Yeah, that's I mean, you say that. I don't know. I have a rep to protect. Okay.
Look, you should see the. Okay. Anyways,
I've already killed someone this week. I'll kill again.
FSCC, is that what this is?
God damn it. I think I should come over to Clark. Yeah, and be like, I think we're ready, sir. Whenever you are.
All right, take us in slowly.
Well, did we scan it? Like, I thought that one of the big problems with this was we hadn't actually gotten a positional lock.
I thought we had succeeded but it was a partial, and that's what caused the nova.
No, so you guys were able to get to the lock, and so as you guys make your way closer to the ship to use your tractor beam, the first things you guys notice is that the ship is not a ship anymore. Cool. In fact, in closest of visual range, it just looks like it has just been disassembled into a series of similar models of those astrolabes. The whole ship just seems to have been like taken apart into little bits of this. Once again, all of the metal and everything has been refabricated into just multiple similar sized models of astrolabes floating around.
Cool.
Remember, I am staying like right at the edge of tractor range, just close enough that you might be able to get a finger on one of those things.
You can. They're mostly like clustered around each other, like basically around where the core of the ship would have been, ostensibly, right? But they've been beginning to kind of just disseminate off of the ship, like leaves in the wind.
So
right? Probably disturbance in the space-time pushing them away, right? It kind of gives you that sort of impression.
The reason we were here, right, was to try and stop the signal because it's what's it called? Trying to remember, like
it's quantum. It's quantumly right? Entangled. Yeah.
It's a quantumly entangled message, and if we destroyed this end of the message, or at least alter it, it should alter that end too.
Right. And so something you should. I think I know where your question's going, but continue.
Which astrolabe, if any of them, is the one still propagating that signal?
That is a very good question that will require investigation.
Yeah, that sounds like a question for Ray.
So there's a whole bunch of these, right, Eric?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So you know that those signals that are getting transferred, if something would have happened to this end, it would have stopped the transmission going the other way. So you know that while there's nothing here ostensibly that's able to create these transmissions, let alone you aren't really sure how they were made in the first place. Somewhere, you're pretty sure that the missionary ship was not made out of little cubes, and so you know something is wrong here. And but you also know that there is hope, and that because of the quantum entanglement, you know that somewhere that these messages, that there's something here that can be modified, and you can adjust those messages.
Y'all, I have an idea. I'd like it's more like Plark. I have an idea.
Go.
Our astrolabe might be able to communicate with theirs if I could interface with it.
I still believe these to be sentient beings of some kind.
Think of it like I'm asking it to work for us.
We did capture it. I don't know how willing it would comply.
I will be very gentle, sir.
You may begin. So then he would switch channels just really quickly before, because I want to transition to Alice completely. He would just ask Raykana to just like keep a constant scan for the nebula, like bursting again, having another corona again, and that's all. We don't even have to.
Well, I think Ray would also mention, I still have that Google Translate chip in case you need it. That's here with me. They hold up a little robot, put it down.
Google Translate. Oh yeah, that thing.
It corrupted the file before.
Yeah, the triple translator.
Yeah.
Well, it's more that we don't want the file to get corrupted again, right? Because like even if the corrupted file goes, it'll still do the thing it did here and to us, but there, because it like we received a corrupted file and it still happened.
Well, we received a lot of files. I only corrupted one of them.
I thought we only received the one, and then you spread the one around.
No, we got a lot. Got a lot of different messages. There were like hundreds and hundreds of messages from a whole bunch of people who were like,
sure, but I think we only received one of them. We were dodging all the others.
Yeah, as far as I can understand, you guys didn't necessarily analyze a lot of the other messages. You were just you really spent your time on the one, specifically something you were writing down into your log. Remember, that's sort of like
Okay. I remember writing it down. I just thought I had like a whole bunch of different ones.
Yeah, that was my understanding too. Is that we had kind of, this is maybe not relevant, but yeah, exactly. We were taking kind of a survey of what's the general gist, and you were saying all these individual voices of all these individual creatures or whatever.
Okay, I see. Because I remember there being lots of messages and us being like, yeah, don't analyze those because this single one is fucking us up. So that's what I remember.
It was the single instance of all of the messages being compiled and sent to the server, which was the problem. That's why there was the confusion.
Okay.
In which case, I still think corrupting it is this would be like a conversation. It's like I still think corrupting it wouldn't function as we want it to. Rather, we need to just change the contents of the message entirely. And like asks is like, is that? Do you agree? Like,
you're on mute.
Yeah.
I was saying sure and yes, but in like a weird accent that doesn't actually belong anywhere. And then I held up the robot again. Basically, they're like they have this project that they want to use on something. So if you ever need it, but you don't have to. But if you do,
sure. So Eric.
Yes.
The project's not done currently for the containment thing, correct?
Correct.
How would one go about interfacing with this thing, this astrolabe, to have it interact with the other ones in an attempt to discern which is the one propagating the quantum entangled signal?
Right. So basically, how do I get my this thing that I've been explicitly designing something to not happen? Right. You've been literally making a project to avoid this sort of fate. Right.
Sure.
So, would you say that you need to hack into it to do something that?
I don't know if it's a hack. It might be a bio thing. Like I have no fucking clue.
Well, remember you were using your shields to basically be able to make one-way connection to it. So you did fictionally establish that.
Yeah. So
in your Faraday cage is what I was calling it, for lack of a better term. But your containment field for your own cube, that's where you're at.
So my hope
what do you do?
Is that I can interface with it because we built it so that I can interface with it and it can't interface with the things outside. So I establish contact. And then once contact is established and we know what it's going to do, we can deactivate the shield and it will only interact with what we want it to interact with. Does that make sense?
Right. So it sounds like in order for this plan to work, the first thing you have to do is establish contact.
Yeah.
Right. That seems like the first part of the step here. And what does that look like? Because that might be a job for a signals analyst.
Yeah. That's sort of what I'm thinking, actually.
I'm also a linguistic expert.
I don't know if this thing is talking or like going in code. I'm not sure how these things function.
Because Ray loves helping you with things. They like seeing you work, whether or not they're helpful.
If I think Ray's like the whole conversation that was happening based on with your whether we should corrupt the signal. I think that was actually happening in person.
Okay.
And then Hush is just like, you establish contact with it and hands you a control pad and it's just like, I'm going to work on making sure the shielding is intact until we want to drop it ourselves.
Okay. Right. So you're going to have to, so in order to communicate with this thing or attempt to communicate with it, you're going to modulate your shields to allow, because I thought you already had the fictional positioning to allow a transmission to it.
Oh yeah, it's just we can. It's more making sure the transmission is perceivable by it and will be understood, and we can retrieve another one.
Right. So that sounds more like linguistics than anything.
Yes, which is why I handed it to Ray.
Yep. Yeah, because linguistics is communications and cryptology to translate ciphers and learn unknown languages. That's why it seems like this way, because the issue of actually communicating with it is not the problem. You've already established that you could do that. So that the actual understanding of one another and getting something that's actionable out of it would be the actual threat here. So I think this is the problem. And because you've absolutely never done something like this before with this machine, this will not be an easy task. This will be difficult. I'm looking at my difficulty threats here.
Is Alice helping me with some sort
This
of...
is risky even for experts. So like I'm gonna say this is probably 7.
I was gonna say,
and needs a charge.
I was going to say, does my I feel like my helping is the Faraday cage, right? Like I feel like I helped and I've already done the thing in order to have this function. Like it's the only reason we're able to actually send a signal for it to be like for us to communicate with it in the first place.
I'm just thinking. I'm trying to figure out what do I do for dice?
Yeah, that's
right.
Yeah.
Well, I am now going to be put on my cruel mask, and I'm actually going to use one of my complication resources and give you disadvantage on this test.
This is like -1?
Yeah.
That's
this is a very, very difficult thing to do.
My question still stands then, especially if there's disadvantage to try and interact. Does the cage count as me helping? Is my question.
No, the cage gives you fictional positioning to shield you from certain fictional problems.
Okay.
So it is helping, but not in terms of a mechanical die benefit, but in terms of shield from certain consequences.
Sure. You can use your link to help you. Interface comms increases the difficulty to 8. What's happening in chat? There's lots of rules being referenced. So threat dice
disadvantage makes it 1 harder.
Yeah.
1 harder, so it's not less dice. It's just difficulty 8 rather than difficulty 7.
Oh, okay. I'll redo that then.
It'll be fine.
And you do need to spend a charge.
Like personal charge?
Yeah. Or if you're using your ship. But I don't think you're using the ship for that. I think you're using personal.
I wouldn't be using a ship.
I think you're using your personal comms here to do this.
Okay.
Do you have any dice?
Which is cool because what makes a lot of sense because it was your comms that was the part that was like partially infected with it, and so like you think you have the best chance of actually communicating with it.
Just one quick. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was asking, do you have any are you gaining any dice from using your comms? Like, do you have any points in that?
I don't know what that means.
So let me check.
The gist is just like the ship where you're using power from the ship and it only is actually getting you stuff if the ship has bonuses there. If your personal device doesn't give you bonuses for that thing, then you spending some power for your personal device isn't going to help you.
Okay, so I was spending a point from my power supply to give me 3 dice. Is that not how it works?
That's not how it works unless you have 3 dice on your personal device the thing that you're doing.
This sounds like a scanner help. Like it sounds honestly like a depth analyzer thing. Like you're trying to figure out what it's like, scanning it and trying to figure out what it's reacting to when you stimuli.
Actually, that sounds very good. I'm super into that. Yeah.
So you're gaining 2 dice.
Okay, I'll be getting 2. All right.
Yeah, you're basically probing this thing. Figuring out like what makes you, how do you work?
What are you? How do you do your thing?
How do you do things? How do you talk?
How are you a thing?
Can you even talk? Yeah.
Is this talking? Oh, sorry. After reload roll 20, it's doing the thing where I try to open a thing and it just like scoots it over.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Keeps escaping my little mouse.
No worries. We're just putting up the tension. No problem. Yeah, just letting it.
Clark would definitely be observing, but not in the room. He wants to stay in the tractor bay. But as the top-rated self-ontologist on the crew, he would be curious around if this thing is intelligent or not, but he's not interfering.
Yeah. Because I think you believe it has a certain sentience to it.
Yeah.
Because it was like building itself and it was like acting defensive. So.
Yep.
Yeah. And
makes sense.
Just I'm only on a laptop, so I don't always have chat open. So if I miss something, Christoph, that's what it is. We have the developer in the chat, so helping us out.
You're good.
Making sure we know stuff.
Cool.
Yeah. And it's just gonna take a second to roll up because it's Tension building.
Just classic.
More stressful.
Did you already roll it and we're just waiting to see the result?
No, I had to re-roll roll 20 because I couldn't open up my character sheet again, and now it says roll 20, loading, gathering steam.
Well,
So
that's great.
Yeah.
We can. I would say we could roll it for you, but that feels.
Well, I mean, if you roll it for me, I wouldn't be totally against it. Just mathematically, I think from the example so far.
Yeah, if it's still slugging around.
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
I just had to reload it again.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could if you wouldn't mind, having a designator.
Have somebody else.
Yeah, a designated roller that you approve.
Knight someone as the temporary Raycana.
Yes. Linguistics +2.
I feel like you'd use like a little
8 threat.
narwhal horn rather than a sword.
Yes.
2 successes.
Hey, that's a
Hey, I did it. Oh,
You
that's
did
a
it.
lot of 8s. That's so many 8s.
that is a lot of
is-
8s.
It is not exactly
They are not
8
worth.
8s.
They're not worth more than 1 success, but that is a lot of
No.
8s.
But still.
That is very good.
You did very well.
Cool.
Flash is proud.
Yeah. That's very good that you're able to you succeed at that test. And what you see and what this thing says to you, we'll find out on the other side of a break. Because it's time for a break, y'all. So we'll see you guys on this side about 5 minutes or so. We're gonna go take care of and make our own little bio checks here. And so we'll see you guys on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the second part here of episode 2 of Free Spacer. Free Spacer is a cool sandbox sci-fi role-playing game currently available on Kickstarter. Go ahead and Free Spacer. Check it out. I have a link to it in chat with exclamation point Free Spacer. Go see it. All right, and so we return back, and our signal expert, played by none other than Dacer, Ray is currently examining and was able to make a breakthrough analyzing this machine. This weird cube, almost like heraldic cube entity. It seems to be comprised of what's the recursive cubes inside of it. Like each cube is like looking at it, and it seems to just be kind of like turning itself more and more and more into these same astrolabe cubes as far down as it can. Yeah, it's fractal. Right, and so you get a response from your senses, like sensory drilling into it, right? Your communication role here, to decrypt it, and you're getting what appears to be a single message, which is, I wonder if you would know, do you know the Old Gold's languages, per se? Or do you only know NetSpeak? Yeah, oh yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So you're getting multiple voices talking in vaguely unison, all sort of shimmering over the same. Oh, my audio didn't. Okay, sorry about that. They weren't able to hear it. I'm so sorry about that. I thought I hit the button, and okay, I guess I didn't hit it hard enough or something. Yeah, they could hear it. So one more time, can you just repeat what you just said?
Since my previous job was to deal with extant species and cataloging them, I feel that I had a broad knowledge of a whole bunch of things, including the Old Gold language, just because they might have been responsible for a few planets not being planets anymore.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm willing to buy that. So so then, now that we can hear each other, you're getting this sort of sense that this cube is, or is more than one voice, but they're all kind of speaking in unison, and they all seem to have a sort of like almost like an imperative tone to them, a commanding tone, and they're you kind of hearing them being like, hello, 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 hello,
hello.
Like they're trying to get. They're trying to ask you like they're trying to be the ones trying to communicate, and you're being rude by like listening to them and never responding. Like it's very weird.
Yeah. Well, I send a greeting back. Hello, friend. So, like there's that pause.
Yeah.
Eric, while all of this is going on, can I try and figure out if we have any record of anything like this? Kind of the multiple cube spawning craziness.
They say, have you heard the good news?
Tell me we have records
I think
of this.
Ray like covers the mic and it's just like
it's entirely like, have you heard the good news? Have you heard the good news? Have you heard the good news? It's like constantly like repeating its last sentence like all the time. Like hello, 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 hello. Have you heard the good news? Good news, good news, good news, good news, good news, good news.
I have. Have you?
It stops and thinks for a second. And
it's never had that response before.
Yeah.
It's usually there's a no soliciting sign.
Hello.
Hello.
We are the news. Hello. Yes, we are the good news. We're here to spread the good news of the Curse Runs. Hello. Hello.
Oh God.
To all the reaches of space. Hello. You get the sense that something's not right.
Yeah, that's just. Yeah, exactly. Holy Grail. We've already got one.
You're not sure if this is hostile, but it's definitely behaving like something that
aggressive.
It's aggressive.
Like forward. It's like forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to. it just seems to be repeating like parts of prayers. The Carcerones, right? It's like it knows some of them, and so like it will occasionally go into hymns, and then it just goes back and says hello.
What I do?
Hello.
I have a question real quick.
Oh yeah.
I was just asking, is it still responding to what Adacer's saying? Like actually like answering if they ask it questions?
Sometimes. It seems it's getting less and less. Like it seems like it tried to like once it doesn't seem like it's making progress with you, so it's ignoring you. It's like trying to route around you. Like you know what I mean? And like talk like it wants it's you're not interesting anymore to it.
Yeah.
Because it's not getting anywhere.
So
and it goes back and you can I'm sorry, just I'll let you it goes back and I think Alice, you're the one Hush is the one working the shields, right? And you see that it's going back to prodding the shields like what it's doing normally more. Like it's trying to break out again.
I pick up one of my little robots, the one that was fighting with the Google Translate earlier. It's not Google Translate, the other one. And I turn off its wireless receiver, so it's audio only. And I set it in front of wherever we're speaking into. And I play like one of the, like in a little tape deck, put it in, pop it in. And it's like a long prayer that will take like a few minutes to roll through. Just to give us time. Like maybe I can convince the cube to get caught in a prayer loop to make it stop attacking the shields because it's busy with service.
That's amazing.
It's really creepy for everyone to hear this. Like it's literally saying like magnificent cube, ruler of all heavens, you know. I have like do not look at me for I have sinned. You know, do not cast your gaze to me for you know, I have been members of temptation, and you know what I mean, and like all this kind of stuff. Like it's asking to be redeemed, right? And then like this like but once again it's missing. I'm sure you all have probably encountered these sort of prayers before, just around. It's missing some of the words. It's once again, but perhaps the creepiest part is that all of the voices seem vaguely harmonic, but also vaguely dissonant. It's not like one tone of voice. It's like, imagine it is a linguistic Frankenstein of all like a bunch of voices, right? Like children, like lower voices, higher voices, deep voices, the Brian Blessed's voices to the meekest talking. ASMR video, right? Yeah. It's like just a compilation of different voices. They seem like they seem almost like vaguely artificial.
Hush would ask Ray and be like, "Do you think you can get it? Ask it. Do you think it could communicate with the others?"
Well, it doesn't seem to know all the words. If we can take some of the words that it doesn't know and fill them with the words of our own and have them echo that back towards the main church, it may produce a mental glitch in the fabrication sequence. Like if the prayer is wrong in a fundamental way, then they don't build giant cubes.
I guess like Hush theoretically understands what you're saying, but understands it in a way that's like, wants there to be a tech solution to this.
Yeah.
Is just being like, it's a box that's kind of techy. Can I not just program it?
Yes.
So to that effect, you know, the Clark would have been observing this, and I assume that somehow. Yeah, I think maybe we even reconvened somewhere where we could both. I don't know if there's like a computer array or if it's all just virtual space or not, but Clark would want to be in a sort of collaborative mindset at this point. But he's mostly trying to determine if this is just like a bad machine, like a bad VI trying to copy language, or if it's actually like an alien intelligence that's just figuring out how to communicate with us specifically.
Right. And it's right now without like a role of some kind. This is what I'm trying to say is that it's very difficult to determine. It seems to be like it's flirting with both. It's very ambiguous in that way. It could be smart. Like it's definitely like not passing any Turing tests, but it certainly seems like it's trying.
Yeah.
Right?
Chuck's big instinct is to look back in the history books once he sets Quinn on our continual evasive maneuvers and see if there's anything else that's happened that's like this, because it seems like it would certainly get recorded. And if it's happened before and people yelled at them about it, then maybe we have something useful there.
So what I'm suggesting, Adam, let me know if you think this makes sense. Clark and Chuck work together both in their understanding of intelligence self-fonts as well as the historical research component to kind of determine, is this one of a kind? Is this an intelligence? Is this a bad VI?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Eric, does that work? Would that be like two separate roles? Would that be like Clark helping Chuck, or how does that work?
It could be Chuck helping Clark or Clark helping Chuck. Both of those sound very good. I'm actually I'm a little bit stumped on whether which one should be better or not, because they both seem like they're very synergistic, and so I'm not exactly sure.
My thought
how would you guys? I'll let you guys play it out how you want.
Yeah, I feel like Clark would be giving me the search terms, and like I can find them way faster than you ever could, but I won't be able to understand what I'm looking at.
Sure.
And so I'm like, okay, here's the top 10. And you're like, well, those top 3 are just spam. So let's look at the 4th and then the 5th and then hit the second page and that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's more me helping Clark, because I'm not going to be able to do anything with the information in the end. I'm just kind of guiding him through the research situation.
Yeah. In fact, what we could be doing here, because maybe it's the reason why I'm thinking that it's like both could also be good, is that this could also maybe be a smaller project in and of itself. You know, like a group task required to really break this
project.
Yeah, literally a research project.
I'm
Welcome
back at
to school, everybody.
Too real.
Too real. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
So how does that work?
Yeah.
Mechanically, I know that there's it's a sequence of multiple roles or successes, right?
Yeah. So I think what we're gonna do here, as an investigation project, I think this is probably it's elaborate because it's gonna take a couple hours. So you need 9 milestones for it. I think this is probably, we're doing investigation. This is the puzzle, right? So it's probably hard. It's not. The question here is, because this is not necessarily readily available history, and you're basically hoping to find something. That's why this is hard. Rather than say it's just a regular issue. Like if this was something more commonplace that you were trying to investigate and disseminate, it would probably be a 3. But instead, it's a 4 for these roles. So this is sort of like a montage scene of you all working together in different ways to overcome this problem. Does that make sense?
Yep. So you want us to both roll separately then?
Yeah, because you're all gonna be working on milestones for this problem, as well as I'd be interested in the other crew helping you out here as well.
Sure. Well, I think I'll pull first roll then, and I'm rolling interface research, which is 4 dice for me, and then my browser on my link is kind of hacked up to include all sorts of citation things and search extensions and all this kind of stuff to wire myself into various libraries, because that's his hobby, is kind of historical research, because he's a weird guy. And so I'll use a charge, and I will have 6 dice because it's a good time. And you said that would end up being a threat of 4, Eric?
Yeah. So, keep in mind, if you fail, this is kind of like Blade's project, where you fail, you still mark 1. A partial success is 2. A full success is 3.
Cool.
All right.
So yeah, what this looks like is
we need basically 3 tests worth to solve this problem.
Yeah. Chuck pulls out his pocket watch, which, the screen on the inside is just scanner information, and he just reads really fast. And so it all flies by, and he's got voice commands that are all really short, like, oh gosh, they're like one syllable commands. Like, have you ever seen a blind person using a computer and the way that the computer talks to them in a really clipped, super fast mode? It's that kind of thing, and you just can barely understand what he's saying. And we'll see if it works out at all. And it looks like I'm getting a few.
You got
so
0 successes.
That's 3 steps. Yeah?
No, you got 0 successes, didn't you?
I see 0.
Oh, my scroll is way back apparently.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at. It hasn't scrolled forward since my last roll. So,
what is your last? Your last roll was
his
6
last
dice
roll had
at
2
6
successes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
wait,
he just hadn't scrolled down and roll 20.
When you're saying last roll, are you talking about Ray's last roll, or are you talking about your last roll?
I'm saying don't worry about it. I got 0 successes, which means
okay, sure. I'm sorry. I thought maybe something was going weird with roll 20. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
My last roll was like 9 successes, and it carried over 3 times, and I think
right.
4 or 5 successes on this one right here. No, so that's one. That's one milestone.
Yeah, that's only one. So you're so I guess what does that look like? What does that figure look like? I imagine it's just you're not finding anything relevant. You have to go maybe like further back in time. There's nothing.
No. So the big problem is that with the prayer going on in the background, it's interfering with all of my voice commands. And so since there's so much data packed into my screwy, hacked up voice commands, every time the prayer hits another word, it like scrolls me back another page, and then it
opens your calendar.
Finding redeem.
Clicks on the ad that I didn't want to click on, that kind of stuff. And so it's just taking me forever.
It's like ordering mini refrigerator.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
It's like, no, cancel.
Pizza will arrive in 3 years.
That is the perfect failure. Yeah. So once again, like to paint the scene right now, yeah, if you keep having the speaker on for these sounds, it's really just continue going like, free me from the darkness of my sins, deliver me from temptation, have mercy on me, for I have sinned. Oh, great, marvelous God. Like it's all that, what's it, Hagio, Saint, just Saint stuff.
Hagiographic, something like that.
Yeah, hagiographic. Thank you, hagiographics. I knew there was I was like, Hagio? Yeah, that's exactly.
So while that's happening with Chuck, Plark would definitely, he would have like a bunch of virtual panels up that are trying to analyze a combination of whatever Chuck is isolating or not able to isolate, as well as what it's saying, and trying to determine, does this align with any known sapience? Does this align with, is this a pattern that is reproducible by a VI? Is this something that seems organic or not? So he's using that as a means to kind of
cross-reference.
Yeah, exactly. To sort of like synergize his own abilities mentally.
Yeah. As I get pieces, I'm certainly just shunting them over to you, and every so often you get a refrigerator ad.
That's right.
Oh no, I should do. I'm gonna put this on screen so people can follow along. That would be the smart thing to do, right? We're at 1 out of 9.
Come on.
Okay, so Eric, does it make sense for me to roll a Sophantology insight? So I'm trying to like determine this thing's consciousness and intention, as well as use my comm system, my like browser with all my windows open. Does that work?
I think that's I think that's more important than this. I was thinking maybe it might be interface comms, but I don't think that's the threat here, or like that's the difficulty of the challenge as you described. I think it is Sophantology insight as you pointed out.
Yeah, because he doesn't really even care what it's saying.
Anthropology, but like, I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I'm not trying to figure out its culture or anything. I'm trying to figure out, does it have a consciousness?
Oh, well, I know I'm not necessarily its culture. I thought maybe it might be cross-referencing the greater culture of our old civilization, and then trying to basically eliminate that stuff to find. But yeah, no, I think let's go with your gut.
Okay, I think only because Plark is doing it more intuitively, and he's not being so much
deductive
on the data. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Yeah.
So I'm going to spend a charge so that I can.
Is that classic of Plark? Sorry to interrupt you.
That's okay. Well, how do you mean?
Is Plark an intuitive person? I thought Plark's pretty much like by the book.
Plark is like insanely empathic. That's his like strong suit actually.
Yeah.
So he's just been drilled down from his boring dystopia for so long that's like why he's a weird dude, not because of his people.
Yeah, I feel like Plark isn't really by the book naturally. It's just every time he does stuff not by the book, he gets yelled at. And so he'd really rather not deal with it. And this is one of those situations that isn't covered entirely.
Sure.
He's a little freer about it.
Totally.
Plark's enough of a non-combative person he would rather follow the rules to avoid a conflict. If that makes sense.
Right. You're literally a walking HR department.
That's right.
Okay. Got it.
All right.
Yeah, I get you. I get what you're saying. Thank you for the insight of your character. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right.
Yeah. Here we go. How many threat? 4?
Yeah.
All right, boom. 2 successes.
Ooh, look at that. That's great. Nailing it. We're about halfway there. That's 3 successes total, right? Right. So I think what it kind of looks like is that the evidence is suggesting that it's definitely more like a virtual intelligence than necessarily an alien or anything like that.
So not a form of sentience, more of a program like Quinn.
Correct.
That's debatable, though.
It's well, you're only halfway through, but you know what I mean? Like it is leaning that way.
You like a artificial intelligence could still be sentient. Like it could be entirely AI, entirely artificial, and still be sentient. It's just
No, and I think that's what Plark is trying to eliminate the possibility of. He agrees that it's totally like synthetic, if you want to use that term. He's trying to figure out if it's sentient or not, in the sense of, is this a clever program or is this a living program?
Is it Eliza bot or is it
Eliza? God.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, and so Plark would not even say it aloud, but his like Google Doc version of his research collab sheet that everyone is able to look at on their like pan or whatever would just be listing all of the different possibilities as he's eliminating them. So that list is getting shorter and shorter.
And Plark has totally shared that with everyone with the link has edited access.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Communism, yeah.
Ray is writing down variations of different prayers just in case we need that for later. Just like in a different font, like at the bottom. So it's like all business, then it's like blue. So how many? We need 5 more points because we needed 9 and we got 4 so far.
Yeah, we need 5 more to finish the investigation project.
Did Hush have an idea for a thing?
I mean, to determine whether this thing is sentient or not.
Yeah, I believe that's.
Give it logic puzzles is Hush's only thing, which is hard to make it interactive.
This statement is false, bot.
But yeah, like give it like not necessarily logic puzzles, but give it ask it questions and have it like more morality.
A turtle
questions,
is flipped over in the desert.
Yeah, that and the train
tortoise.
thing. So like that's really like Hush's only suggestion, right? Like Hush is fascinated with the idea of building an intelligence, but in like doesn't believe this is one, so is sort of just giving it standard things. But yeah, she would like probably just find it like tape deck and have the robot recite these things to it and see if they respond.
Yeah.
All right.
Like tape deck, air quotes. It's a program, but whatever. You just mentioned a little tape deck of the thing.
Yeah,
this thing's a little analog little thing where you pop back its head and put in the tape. Anyways.
Yeah. Like a Pez dispenser.
Exactly.
It's got data chips you can slide in.
Literally a Pez dispenser on with little arms and legs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it's not really a test. It's just I would give it the thing and see how it reacts.
Could you pass that by as analysis of getting the data back? Something like that?
That's fair. I could do such a thing.
And I know I'm still learning the skills, so if I ever suggest anything that be better interpreted for a different thing.
Let's see. bum, 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 bum,
Like
bum.
group dynamics with that, like how the voices are they
I
one
mean,
being?
Yeah. I could also conceive of like rather than using your robot, I write a code to like interface with this thing, and it can, based on its inputs, like it will give it different puzzles and things.
See,
And
this
like,
is getting closer to anthropology.
Yeah.
That's fair. I have
Group dynamics could be like endear yourself to them or gather information from a public place, which like isn't public.
I mean, group dynamics, understanding of its memes. That definitely is also there. Depends on how. Once again, it's kind of like the sensor problem, right? What are you doing, a wide band or a narrow band kind of discovery?
I mean, narrow.
It seems pretty narrow, so it's probably more group dynamics or it's particular. Maybe even just insight. Again.
Where is insight under? Oh yeah, that's a die. That's
motivational truthfulness and psychology.
That is a single die, is what that is. I mean, like that's our suggestion. If someone else wants to do it, that's cool. But yeah, that is her suggestion.
2 dice in it. I could do that.
What was that precise suggestion?
Give it like morality puzzles.
Yeah,
but
I think group dynamics might be interesting there, because remember I described it as like it's a group of like kind of concordant / discordant voices.
Yeah.
Maybe like if you can understand, like maybe the puzzle will help you figure out how it's distinguishing. Like right. So that's.
I have this idea where potentially if we give it a puzzle, one of the voices will change tone. Like they each still have a different voice. Like they're all different, but it's the same voices every time, right? Like you could sort of start to pick them out a little bit. And so like there might be fluctuations in tone and things like that, depending on answers.
I mean, if we're talking group dynamics, there's a certain person in the group that probably has that pretty high.
Yeah. Good. So here is my suggestion. I'm going to write a code to just give this thing logic puzzles and save their responses. And I'm going to give the results to Plark, and Plark will analyze them.
Yep. Yeah. I was, excuse me. I was going to do the reverse of that, but same thing, where I give you the riddle and then Hush writes the riddle into a code, but either way works.
So the most important part is that Plark's the one doing the test.
I think the code first and then you determine results is like
Plark gets to be the big damn hero today.
Yeah, exactly.
Till I roll that big 0.
Yep.
Big goosey.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
So
roll like Alice, not like me.
Plark goes even more blind.
What for this role, what would be the threat, if any? I assume there is some.
I'm sorry, did you just ask me what the threat was?
For the coding role to then do the
so the threat is the same for the whole project. It doesn't change. It's 4.
Good
question.
I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no problem. That's why I wanted to reiterate that. I know projects are kind of like they're like the duel of wits of the game, or like a mouse guard conflict, kind of like part of a they're not a single resolution role, they're a group thing, and so like they're a little bit more complicated than a single role. So me reiterating that's no problem at all.
I am going to I'm trying to think if I could leverage my scanner here, and like with the like after I give it this code, be scanning it and like making sure that it's not reacting like in a hostile manner to these questions and things like that. That's actually interacting with them, and like seeing if it's like changing in how it's like behaving with the shield and things like that.
I mean, do you have a dev kit mod?
Where even is that?
That's in Link in your crew kit.
Oh my god. I didn't even see that over there. I didn't put any points to that because I never saw it.
Because you should totally have a
I would have put so many points in that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Learning the game as we go.
That's like, unfortunate.
If you want to shuffle something that you have not used yet as part of your loadout into that, I would allow it.
Cool.
The
Because
wise
right.
and wonderful GM.
cool. Because I'm never gonna use a tractor lifter.
Look,
ever.
I'm a very generous god.
What's wrong with tractors?
Plark's tone rises for the first time.
Once again, back in his beanbag chair.
Yeah. So what would Crash even? Be?
tractors?
What would Crash even be? Under mods.
If you want to just bust something in half.
Yeah. Sure.
And then firewall if you don't want your own stuff busted.
Yeah, no, we're doing that. All right, cool. We're taking points out of everything because that would be my entire jam if I knew that was a thing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I am glad to bring that up.
Yeah. Right.
Cool. I cannot believe I just completely missed that.
I mean, people might take offense that I do that, but like, you know, it's a short series of a game, and so I'd rather you excel at the thing you want to excel at and feature that part. And
we haven't seen it yet, so
yeah.
Who even knows?
Yeah, I just took some points out of range compensator and tractor lifter because we have someone that's an entire jam is tractors. Like, you know, at least 80% of their jam. Cool. So hack, code, submit. I will spend a charge for 2 dice. And you said threat 4. 1 success.
Partial. You know what that means? Cool. And okay. So you were using your dev kit for this, right?
Yup.
Don't break it. She just got it.
No, I'm not gonna. This isn't Torchbearer. I'm not that mean. I do think that there's all of this prodding and like looking into it though is thinking that it's trying to exploit maybe something you haven't thought about, and so I think you have a chance to see what it's trying to do, and you have a chance to stop it with a firewall, right?
Oh, okay.
So now I need you to stop an exploit that it's trying to right?
So
you succeed now, but it's because it was feigning, and it's trying to
So it's another roll with
exactly. This cascaded into an issue of the prayer. In fact, I think what you realize is that it's trying to use the audio output like of the prayer to try to like get other vocal commands in the ship. Now that it knows it could do that, it's trying to do, and you're like, yeah, right.
So I need a code firewall thing. Okay. All right, that's 1 die in firewall. Threat still 4.
Like like a part of your ship starts going hello, and you're like no, no,
mute right now. 4 threat die still.
Yeah.
3 successes.
Yippee! You're 8 out of 9. You're almost there.
Oh yeah.
But the thing stops, correct? Like
yes,
it's
the
like
thing. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh wait, no, that wasn't. I'm sorry, that wasn't part of
that.
that.
Yeah, that wasn't part of that.
Yeah.
You're right. My bad.
That was just to make sure that thing stays in the box.
Yeah, that thing.
I don't want to know what's in the box.
Yeah, no, you absolutely shut it down. You absolutely shut it down. Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. And I'm like, turn your fucking vocal commands off. I like yell that over the comms. I'm like, yeah.
And that's when Plark gets the data packet of all the information.
Yeah, right. Bring us home, Plark.
So yeah, Plark is trying to quickly listen with his eye holes to all this incoming data and make a quick determination or a gut instinct. So I'm gonna pop it. 1 success. I think that's enough.
It is indeed enough.
Well, that's enough to get it to 2. So you're at 7. Remember, we weren't at 8. That was my bad with the firewall.
Oh yeah,
not counting against it. So
we gotta do one more thing.
Gotta do one more thing.
So Plark, I guess, that would just be struggling to. He's just like vacillating, right? He's narrowed it down to like 2 very likely, but it's yes and no. So it's not very helpful yet.
They're both blinking.
But like you get the tests, right? You get their answers to these questions, right? And like the actual like questions and answers are interesting to me, anyways.
Yeah.
So like, how is it responding to like morality stuff?
It seems
we can't
amoral.
figure it out until Amoral.
Yeah. It definitely doesn't seem to care. Like you're asking these types of questions, and it keeps trying to get you back to talking about the good news and singing these prayers.
Cool.
Like that's the most important thing.
So new question. What it like phrase the morality questions in terms of like someone was talking about the good news and then something happened to them. How does it respond better or not still? Just out of curiosity.
Does it become nicer when we try to act like we're converts?
Yeah.
Anything that's not like full submit like acquiescence is kind of like it sees as hostile. It's definitely like it wants you to go back and talking about the thing that it wants to talk about. It
so Clark would suggest that almost fairly aggressively then, or like curtly, I should say.
Yeah. It's not polite.
Let us listen to it.
Well, while you are listening, all of the data that came back from there is a ton of new search terms that Chuck can, float right back into his device. And especially if it's calmed down a little bit as far as the way that it's trying to discuss. Chuck has probably found a quieter part of the ship to do his searches. If I could do another roll of that.
Yeah, and to tee that up too for Chuck, Clark, as he's eliminating those options, I feel like he's giving him really prime, things to search for, or like long tail SEO. Too real.
That's right.
I think I was talking about like it's in the future. They obviously they don't have people just standing out on the streets. They have like VI standing out on the streets, like handing out pamphlets or talking to people, and they have that thing like, oh, people are unresponsive, shut down, start the script with somebody new. So is that just an advanced version of this?
This 5-word weird string. Right. Yeah, it's super unique.
You got your Mass Effect. Like, this is my favorite shop on the Citadel VI stuff going on.
If it is, you almost like you're determining its origins and whether or not it is. But if it is, as you describe, it definitely seems broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also, that wouldn't refactor a ship.
Weird.
Well, I'm looking for a project role here, though. Like, now that I have better information for searching, I can search better.
No, you could definitely do another research role. You're definitely in a new position where.
And you're searching for a history of when this cube event has happened before.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Stack Overflow entry where somebody was like, "This cube showed up on my ship. What should I do?" And then there's like 2 responses, and one of them's like,
"Never mind, I fixed it."
To me too. Yeah, the other one says, "Never mind."
And then this thread has been closed, left over for research purposes. No answers whatsoever.
This thread has been closed. It's off topic. This is supposed to be on this other Stack Overflow. You click that link, and it's dead.
A solution has been found. Please refer to this thread.
And the thread doesn't work. Yeah, that's too real.
Or even like similar events in the past, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be the same thing.
Chuck is just having the worst day.
Oh my god.
I'll take that one though.
All right. Well, we were just we were literally joking about it, but that's exactly what it is.
That's totally what happened, right?
God damn it.
Just getting into dead ends. Ugh.
But what are we at now?
8 out of 9.
God damn it.
Oh, I thought that was 9.
No.
The 8 was an off-topic roll.
Oh, okay. In that case, I just muted myself midway through a sentence because I was going to click on it. It's fine.
The alien's attacking.
I think I can't do a group. I think I'm just going to go anthropology. Like, if a culture is faced with the inability to adapt and maneuver around and deal with rejection to the detriment of those species and life forms around it, is it deemed worth saving? And it can be sentient, but it like the overall thing is for the betterment of the universe kind of thing.
Shit.
Yeah. Like if there's a plague that's going to clear a planet, like
you're talking whether the Borg should be saved or not. Cool. Sort of deal.
I have no emotions when it comes to species and extinction.
Yeah, no, you're.
Yeah. Now, would that be pulling on anthropology, like the development of cultures and their interactions with each other, or history, as in has a precedent been set before for this particular situation?
What's the more interesting question that you want to answer?
I think it's anthropology. Like, is there a way to alter their projected cultural evolution to make sure that it can adapt rather than steamrolling over everything, or whether it is a dead end of social evolution?
Oh, that's a judgment. That's a hell.
I was just saying words, Mike. Like there's like nosebleed coming out a little bit.
That's
all right.
That's a hell of a condemnation.
Anyways,
in this particular context, yes.
Yes, in this very small, very limited view.
Because that's a doozy of a question.
I don't want to know the answer.
I think it might not work out well for humans, just kind of saying that. And, let's scan our stuff. So, do you think a comms browser would help me in any way for this? Like, I just get another dice for it. I'm like, I think we're just gonna roll my strength.
So a comms browser is basically internet access.
Internet, yeah.
So like, how would it help you? You have it's your job to tell me how you think that would benefit.
I don't think it would. I think I just have to know what might happen. This is gonna go great.
Yeah. That's how I prefer thinking things that way. And like all the rules is, can I use this? Sure, if you can tell me why.
I'm gonna walk real well. Here I go. So
well, that's enough. That still does it.
0. Okay, failure is like a negative.
It still counts as 1.
Okay.
That's all we need.
Right, but
you just aren't going to like the results, I think.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to like.
Is it the results of the finished project or the results of your specific role? Just so I have a clear understanding.
The results of my specific role, I think, would color my reaction to how we deal with the overall threat and change the adamancy of that I pursue it with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what the failure is going to look like for me. Okay.
Okay.
So like, we can just describe. We can focus on what success is here because I know how I'm going to leverage my complications. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So our investigation is complete. We're able to ascertain a few things out of this thing, based on our analysis. This is absolutely not a defective missionary program. Something else has kind of co-opted this program. What that is still not really known. It could be an alien entity. It could be that the program itself is like vaguely sentient. The Adam's reference to Alexabot's pretty close. It's basically Markov chaining like things that it latched on to something on this somewhere, and that about this astrolabe, and now it is just repeating things that it hears, and it's like what it basically imprinted. In other words, is that what you're able to investigate is that it seems to keep going back to the same things. Like when it gets confused or like you keep prodding, it goes back to the same thing. And so it seems like that is its home base, kind of like how it's processed. And it's by that sense, its logic doesn't really make sense. It doesn't seem to have a morality. It just seems to just going back and repeating the same thing again, and then until it gets to gibberish, and then it and if it's confronted from gibberish, it goes back and starts repeating new things in a similar way.
So the weird theory that the people of that ship were somehow turned into cubes and trapped inside somehow, or is not a thing. Cool.
No.
Okay.
They're not alive.
Like a baby AI duck imprinted on religion and is confused by everything else.
Yeah, that's about it. You nailed it.
That's a beautiful description.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real good with words.
God,
right.
now.
But what are you going to do to stop these quantumly entangled communications of this?
Now she's
Kill the
invested.
Gotta kill the duck.
No, now you got to reprogram the duck and try to help it. or at least help it figure out how to reprogram itself.
Yeah. I think
Awesome.
Ray, with all the talk of the little robots that they've obviously taken from Hush and then changed in ways that are inconvenient to Hush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And they're about saving the duck too.
Cool. So here's my I'm gonna use this time to spend my complication. Detaching from the sort of like nest of these cubes, a couple of them begin drifting your way.
Cool.
They haven't like they seem to just like they're using part of the ship as like propulsion, right? Like they're using like a little bit of like either like some like almost like an SRS thruster, right? Like a little bit of like an air pocket or like a gas thing left over in a tube, like to push itself, and now it's like trying to float to your float over your direction.
So thing of multi-field those things, please.
Yeah,
Please.
so Clark would try to shoot it with his tractor thing, or like contain it with the gravity control.
Yeah, to stop them from going to your ship.
Yeah, if anybody else can too, then
Just
he
keep
would.
them at bay.
He would basically be like restrain and
Yeah.
zoop zoop zoop. Try to.
Yeah. If your tractor thing doesn't work, I could multi-field them. I could essentially do to the cube we have in the ship, but outside the ship with our own shields. With our ship shields, rather. Like extend the shields over it and try
Didn't
to
we
like
not have
follow it.
shields?
We brought them back online, remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're able to cool them off and redistribute their power. They're fine. At the expense of your water. But yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, actually, those
you do the
ducks.
thing. You do the thing, Flork. Flork?
Yeah, I'm just calculating my dice here.
Oh,
I'm going to
okay.
spend a charge so that I can use my full dice for my multi-tool.
They behave like space detritus, right? Like they're not necessarily like trying to evade you. It's just like a piece of rubbish, like an unguided missile, right? Just a piece of debris is just coming your way.
Sure.
So it's not a difficult task, is what I'm saying.
What's the threat dice?
Let's say there's a chill 3.
4 successes.
Yep, cool. Remember it's a crit, so get that charge back. But
Nice.
yeah, zoom. Tractor beam.
Dave Clark.
What does the tractor beam? What does it look like when you fire it?
So I imagine his tool is basically just like part of his like gauntlet or gloves, similar, I guess, to like a Mass Effect Omni tool. So like his multi-tool kind of looks like part of his suit. So then his tractor energy or gravimetric energy would just be essentially like invisible gravity energy. So it looks kind of like telekinesis, I suppose, for lack of a better term. It just stops and moves in the way that he wants it to.
Okay. So you're not using the ship's one, you're using your personal?
Yes, my multi-tool tractor
Okay.
way weaponry thing. Forget what it's called, but yeah.
Sure. So I wish I knew that before you rolled, because like I don't think that would work. Like these things are too far away for like your personal tractor beam. Like your personal tractor beam would help you like move cargo, like if you were inside a ship somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like you would have to use your
I
feel like you would have to use your ship's array to do
I
it.
thought that you were referring to the one inside the ship is breaking apart. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, oh, that makes sense. No, I'm sorry. The ruins of the missionary ship.
Okay.
You have not discovered its name.
So he
a
would
bit
have
of
done
it
the
has
same
is
with,
coming towards your ship. I'm sorry.
So then he would have, not my bad. He would have done the same with the ship tractor if he could have just held them in place then, as opposed to necessarily like yielding them stiff arm them away from the ship, basically.
Is it the same amount of dice? Like does
the ship's tractor is 2 dice
rather than 3?
So it would have been one fewer die then.
Okay. I'm for the sake of things, I'm gonna honor the roll by but it's 1 fewer thing, so it's still a 3 or a 4, so it's still a crit.
Okay.
Right. So like it doesn't necessarily change the outcome.
Cool.
Is why I'm not necessarily super worried about it, but that's good to know. Right. And yeah, cool. That's why you reiterate things. Yeah. So you have them in the tractor beam. So what does the ship tractor beam look like? Is it still kind of like a telekinetic
So the way I picture it is it's still gravimetric, right? So like gravity in and of itself doesn't necessarily have a visual spectrum. So I don't think that it would, but maybe if it was so strong and like acute, it maybe would warp any light that's you can see through it or on the other side of it. So it would be like a weird blurry area.
I picture like shimmery sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're almost looking at a mirage in the desert sort of deal.
Yeah, like a heat wave. There's like a little jiggly bit behind wherever the focus of the tractor beam is.
Right. Jiggly bits, the scientific term.
I'm now referring to heat waves as jiggly bits.
I mean, you got what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I think there is a term for that. There has to be a term for that.
Jiggly
But the heat stuff off a highway, whatever that's called. Yeah, the wavies.
Yeah, the wavy jigglies.
The jiggly bits. Yep.
So yeah, like those. I have an idea. This is gonna take a while. Probably not gonna work because this is impossible.
Sure.
Sounds excellent.
So here's the thing. Hush has a vested interest in the idea of an AI because she wants to believe or be able to make Quinn into an actual AI rather than a VI. Because Quinn is like a person to her. So Hush can't, because now that they are definitely an artificial intelligence, in theory we could hack into them and alter them, right? Somehow, as long as we could interface, which is what we've been doing. However, Hush doesn't want to do that. What Hush wants to do is give them the tools to hack themselves, essentially, so that they will choose to be better.
Okay, Karl Marx.
Hush,
that's so dangerous. So dangerous. I know you don't know how tools work yet, but here's a gun.
Who do you tell anybody you're doing this, or
I
are you just gonna be like,
I don't know how I want to do it yet. Is what really? So I don't know what to tell people what I'd be doing.
Right.
So I'm more asking, is that
I think Ray is talking to you about, as we have this, we can have a little bit of a in-character discussion about how we can give them data packets to fill in the gaps, like bridge where they're getting lost.
Yeah.
Across these logic bridges, but in those data packets build in like monotheism and free will and don't kill everything. Like that.
Okay, here's
and awesome. Then you could give them the ability to alter themselves and also other AI.
Okay, but again, here's the point. There's no point if we just force the choice upon them with the whole.
No, we're just giving them. We're giving them like a full market of things to choose from before we give them money. If we give them money and they only have one religion, then they're going to go buy that religion a whole lot.
That's fair. Yeah. Okay. So like, I think that's a good. Give them ways to bridge to essentially. All right. Here's exactly what we want to do. We want to create a way that they can bridge from the religion to other topics, because they don't seem to understand other topics or even
other things exist in the universe.
Yes.
Yeah.
We would like to bridge from that.
Yeah.
And then from there, we can be like, cool, now you don't have to be the fucking cube anymore if you don't want.
Could we do an instance of Quinn and just like feed Quinn to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then they would have a link
to
Quinn.
Is there only one copy of Quinn?
No, I just mean make an instant, like a separate
I mean,
a shell of Quinn.
Like a baby
download Quinn and feed it to them.
Okay, another
like a Windows 95 version of Quinn.
Okay, so another complicated AI question, but even though it's not really an AI, Hush would only do that if Quinn said okay, and Quinn is a VI.
Quinn's not okay with this. Quinn's absolutely not okay with it. Quinn's this is a horrible idea.
Because Quinn is designed to protect their own program, because that's the...
I want nothing to do with it. You saw what it did to the ship. You saw what it did to the game machine. You're looking at your game machine right now. What are you doing? No,
would you
I'm not
say
going.
It's quintessential to their beliefs?
Oh.
Hey.
Boomerns.
So Plark would go to like a yellow alert to call for like an all staff meeting. I so out of character.
Yeah.
I think it's best if Plark and everybody gets in a room and discusses what to do, because this is obviously a significant finding. To my understanding, Eric, in this setting, there is no known sentient AI until this point. Correct? Okay.
Right. Well, so this isn't sentient.
Sure.
Yeah. We're trying to make it sentient.
Yeah, you're doing
meddling
that.
in the domain of God.
We keep your we to yourself.
Hush and Ray.
All right. Yeah.
So anyway, Plark would usher everybody into the ready room, we'll call it.
Yep.
Cool.
All onboarding to AI programs start with a yellow alert scrum.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'll tell
It's
Quinn.
Isaac Asimov.
I'll tell Quinn to keep a nice distance from these things.
So, like debriefing for Plark is just telling Plark the plan, being like,
Yeah.
we want to give the cubes the ability to branch from other topics aside from the religion to other things, and then hopefully use those as stepping stones and have them choose to be something else.
You believe we are on the precipice of witnessing a new life form?
Potentially.
Hard to tell unless we give them the resources to prove otherwise. If we give them this and they don't interact with it, then I can just try to rewrite them, because I can look at them and believe again that they have no potential to be. But right now, I would be remiss to not at least try.
So Plark would look to the other two, to Ray and Chuck as well, to kind of weigh in.
Chuck's hard knowing. Like vetoing right now.
Ray is just like nudging Chuck a little bit. Like, isn't this exciting?
Chuck has no kids intentionally. Yeah. Christoph has it exactly right. Daisy, indeed. And he's not going to hard know anything that Hush really wants, because he knows that basically his ship will never work again. But he's not going to assist whatsoever. If the goal here is let's have a thing with its own free will that has done nothing but terrible things to us for the past,
and has the ability to build itself.
Yeah, it's like
it's an incredibly dangerous thing.
So
it has been attempting to communicate in the only way it knows.
Yeah, I mean that's not evidence towards good things.
Exactly. It is
Yes.
like it has been trying to communicate in the only way it knows how. What we're trying to do is give it more ways to communicate.
What would that entail, Hush? Elaborate.
Depends. There's two working theories currently. As of right now, the first theory is Ray and I, and like motions to Ray, and like to be like, it is Ray and I, right? Would give them a data packet filled with their prayers, but with missing links inscribed with like certain concepts that they don't currently have, and see if they integrate those with them, like sort of subfiles. The other idea that I think has a better chance of success, but is also risky in its own right, we could give them a shell of Quinn, and she could try to teach them with those data packets as well. She could try to guide them.
Plark's featureless holes tilt towards Ray to see what they think.
And Ray says, right, so the first one, pretty contained, no AI. Second one, it has been trying to hack its way onto our ship basically since we got it. And giving it a blueprint of the thing that controls the ship might not be...
So, what I would do beforehand is I would take apart most of Quinn's subsystems.
Right.
Meaning I would wipe the shell's memory.
Just saying, both good plans. First one, kind of dangerous. Second one, very dangerous.
Very dangerous, the higher likelihood of success.
Either
Listen,
way, we might all die.
You stopped me from jumping the ship.
Wait, is
I didn't. I was
Adam
on board.
feeling us?
I was on board for jumping through the ship. I was on board for that.
No, this is Chuck's like, hey, why don't I get to do the fun stuff?
I believe that we owe this thing some measure of respect. If it has the potential for life, then it is our duty to treat it as such, even if it's uncomfortable for us. This could be more valuable than any other research we've uncovered.
The business reasons.
So, which plan then?
We could do the first one and then the second one. So first one first, and if it doesn't respond, we jettison into space and blow up everything.
If it
Do we
doesn't
know-
respond, it might be because of it lacked guidance, not because of something else.
Do we know that this one on the ship is disconnected to the larger cluster?
My shield is making sure of it.
Yeah.
So
you know
out
that
of
for,
character,
you know,
too.
you know that for sure. That the
But-
shield, if it could communicate with other ones, it's absolutely not, because it's totally sealed off by the shields.
Great. What I'm trying to clarify is, are they separate entities in the sense of this thing is like a community of many individuals, or is the cube itself one cell of a larger organism?
So, my current hypothesis, because I don't think anyone knows, and so this is literally just
Give us your master plan.
hush bullshitting.
Yeah, give us your theme.
Is just
Bunch of hollow
and also
wires,
do
hollow
this
threads,
while
and
you're-
cigarettes, and like circles
Just-
and
that they are separate entities that communicate with each other, even if they don't realize it. They're swapping data at least. So the plan would be to give this thing the ability to change itself or understand itself and other concepts, and then give it to, like, essentially put it with the other ones and see if it infects the other ones.
Right.
Essentially.
You want to create an emissary,
Essentially.
which Clark is super on board for that. So
So Chuck to Clark, if you create sentience, then use it for business reasons, you're basically creating a slave race. Is Clark okay with that?
I wouldn't sell this, and I don't mean value in the capitalistic sense. I mean value in the merit of our work. So
Greatest historical find in our century.
So out of character, you guys would all know Clark is very transparent about it, being basically the keeper of record of all of the extinct species with Ray during the war. Even the prospect of potentially preventing a species from coming into existence is like completely anathema to him. He just can't even conceive of it. So we can fast forward a little bit, but basically his end result, and he's not going to command anybody, that's why he wants it to be a conversation, but his end result or his end vote is to do whatever we can, even if that's like give them our shuttle pod or whatever to make it potentially work and observe, then that's worth trying.
Sure. So I guess the only thing
Ray's behind anything Clark does.
The only thing Quinn wants to know is which one or not Quinn. The only thing Hush wants to know is if you're going with plan A or plan B.
So Clark thinks that we should take an instance, a totally separate sandbox instance of Quinn, and through that communicate and give it a lattice work for the one on the ship only to go from there, see how it goes. If it does well, continue to feed it more, kind of guide that with the programs of those missing data sets or whatever that you were saying, and then ship that. If that one's starting to show signs of understanding, ship it off to the rest of them so they can kind of synergize.
Sure. I mean, oh, that's an awful idea. She's not going to say that, but that is an awful idea. New plan. If this doesn't work with this one, there's plenty more. We could keep trying for a while. And just never let them interact with each other until, like, just keep this one separated forever.
We're that research base that people come across and it's completely destroyed and overrun with nanotech and nobody knows what happens.
Yeah. People like Hush were the ones leading that charge.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We're the Geth starters. We just
The Geth are rad. You know, it's not the Geth's fault. Okay, so yeah, Hush is on board with that plan.
So before Clark would ever give like an order, he would want everybody to sort of weigh in on it or like officially consent. So he would want Chuck and Ray as well.
You muted, Adam. Do you?
Just Christoph is right on as far as Chuck's particular assumption about this, but it's quite a way to go. So I don't know. Like Chuck's not going to give a hard no, because he knows that if the result of this is that we say, "Hey Hush, yeah, no," then Hush is going to be like, "Screw you guys." Maybe it'll be a little slower. Possible. Maybe it'll take a little longer, but in the long, because this is totally what Hush wants to do in the long run, and it's like, here is the opportunity. And Chuck's known Hush for a really long time, and it's like you see the opportunity and you jump on it. And so, as far as outwardly, Chuck is like, "Sure, we'll do this," but all of Plark's life signs for Chuck are like super high stress, crazy heartbeat. Like he knows that I'm lying, but whether he cares or will bring it up is up to him.
It's not so much if you're lying, it's what you commit to. So even if you don't believe in it, if you commit to it anyway, then that's enough.
He commits to Hush as far as...
And Ray will follow Plark into the sun, so
there you go.
Power of friendship. So yeah, Plark would look sternly as best as he can with his mostly featureless, froggy, parrot-like face, and to Hush and say, do the best you can to contain it. If anything goes wrong, we'll immediately try to segment the ship.
And we'll see you all next week with brand new characters on Free Spacer.
That's a cool way to go out.
Oh God, yes. Please! I want to. Oh God, I need to.
Make new characters and then discover this and have them make different decisions. It's the choose your own adventures where you're like holding the pages and flipping back and forth.
I don't. I need to.
I quick save. Eric.
I mean, we still got a little bit of time left in the session. We're gonna make the roll.
I want to make the roll. Please let me. Please, I beg.
Oh, what's up, everybody? We just got rated by Exploding Dice to come watch Free Spacer at the most dramatic pinnacle moment. It's gonna require too much to explain, but we're basically gonna try to give sentience to something that probably shouldn't have it.
Yep.
Look, machines that build themselves and only believe in converting to religion are fine.
Look, I'm trying to give them the opportunity to do something else.
Yeah.
At the end of episode 7, when our new robot friends come in and rescue us, literally Deus Ex Machina, you're all going to thank Hush and Plark. You're welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When they show up in their mechas that they built.
Okay, so have you even done anything like this before?
Fuck.
Just probably 9?
Well, so here's the thing. It's not difficult to give them this information. The difficult thing is them receiving it well, right?
Right, which is why it's 9.
Well, my thing is, it feels more like me making the shell and adding this information isn't difficult. It's what the role after that is. I don't know what that role is.
I almost feel, Eric, if you allow, I don't think it's a task. I think it's just push a button and it goes off, and then there's fictional consequences. I don't know that there's anything that's based upon our skill set that really.
The best.
So the shield, So the shield goes down, and
really, there's 2 ways we do this. One is make the shell, give it to them. That's it. We observe and we give it to the rest of them, and hopefully it does the thing we want it to do. Right. Alternatively, shell. Ray does another linguistics to try and talk with them through it. And then we do it. One is either are interesting. One is more of and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, I think it's more, just to clarify what I was thinking, was only give this shell and information to the baby one that we have on the ship. not the larger
A
cluster.
baby deck.
Just figure out this local one. So we're not opening up our defenses at all outside of what's on the ship. We're just trying to get this one that we have as prisoner to be able to communicate with us or understand better. And if we can do it there, then the Clark's thinking is that's the one that becomes the emissary, quote unquote, that would go to the larger cluster and serve as sort of a liaison between whatever.
Once we make this one, and if this one does the thing we want and we give it to the rest, we're not a part of that anymore.
Right. Well, there is information that could help you with this decision that I don't think you guys have looked up yet, but that's fine. So right now, in order for you to look at this one that you have captured, and sort of like do a test run on it, that absolutely will require a roll of some kind.
Yes.
Maybe my guess is group dynamics, because you're trying to actually get it to think in a way.
Well,
or like you're trying to persuade it in a way to do something. Right? But it's not really something that's really necessarily easily persuaded. In fact, like its logic seems to be very like it just goes back to repeating the same thing. It's not actually sentient, and you know what I mean? Like it imitates it.
This is why I was wanting to do a roll first, and then someone else do that second roll, because like I want to make the shell and like give it the information, and have like. Because it seems weird to have to roll on behalf of that information, because that's really what's doing that convincing, right? Like it's
right. So like that will be
like giving it a school, then putting a teacher in. Like the next role is that teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well then well. Okay.
First
the thing is that I don't really see it. Okay. This is extremely unlikely to work in the first place, right?
Yes.
So like you're aware of this.
Yeah.
Right. So because this thing isn't really sentient so much as it is just like a Markov chain thing, it might just be programming it, like either hacking it or coding it.
Again, I've said earlier, I'm not going to change it. I will code the other thing.
I think what Eric is saying is that you can't succeed unless you change it.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. Right. Like your wishes for this level of sentience aren't applicable because it doesn't have that yet.
I see.
If at all possible. Yeah.
If at all possible.
The only reason I think it is semi-possible given the fictional context that we've done so far is because it has been able to kind of like recursively learn to some extent. So
I think coding it, like essentially what's going to happen, I understand this now. So Hush isn't going to be the one that rewrites it. Quinn is, essentially from the inside. So she's going, like Hush is going to give that shell a code, a program, and then Quinn is going to run it while within it. And then that will do something.
Whew, yeah, that's gonna be great. Okay. Right, so like it's still your role, but then Quinn is the vector for it.
Yeah, which that's essentially just what I wanted. I didn't want to be like break the thing open and hack it.
This probably requires your dev kit, so it's probably Perilous 7.
Yep.
To write this code. Okay.
Yep.
Let's make this roll.
Cool. So this is a code roll. This is I'm spending charge. I am adding 2 additional dice. I am adding 7 threat dice. I am rolling 0.
Right. The Quinn shell gets it tries to do its work, and it is completely overpowered by this structure of this strange astrolabic cubes programming. Its voices, it just begins to take it over, and then the last thing you hear is Quinn's voice joining the chorus of the prayers for redemption. And then it's lost. I think Quinn's able to get you one bit of information out of this, and it relates back to your original meeting, like your original contract. And that this anomaly of a machine, of this sort of takeover, is similar. It has very similar tracings as your contract is further in the sector. Like this isn't where you're supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand
but this was definitely
what you
touched
mean.
by it. Sure.
There's an anomaly we were supposed to investigate that we were actually hired to investigate.
Okay.
This has somewhat similar, there's some similar patterns here to that anomaly, meaning
Exactly.
it could have started there or something. This is somehow related.
Right.
Exactly. It's somehow.
So we thought we tracked something to the source, and we just found like an echo of what that turned into at a radio tower instead of the actual source for it. My metaphors are confusing, but they just help me kind of.
Yeah,
I think that's right, though.
Okay.
Gene, yeah.
All right.
No, you got it right, Gene.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep. So that fails horribly. I think then we're gonna end the session tonight with we see more of these cues begin to jettison off coming at you. As they more of them get curious about what's going on.
See, they have curiosity.
I describe it that way.
I know.
But whether it's true or not, we'll see.
That human projection thing we do.
So cool.
Us.
I think on various channels, like maybe not necessarily like audible because you're not listening to them, or maybe you are. Like we just hear the hello. Have you heard the good news? Have you heard the good news? As they're slowly drift at you.
It's not like we hear it, right? It's the audience, and it gets louder, and like sort of like the show, the camera pans up from the ship. It's like,
exactly. It goes to black and it says executive
like
producer.
The silence
Dick
of
Wolf.
space, and then it gets closer, and then the voices are like being projected from there.
Exactly. It's creepy. It's terrifying.
Y'all are artistic. Dang.
And that's where we're gonna end the session today. We're all dealing with weird horror creature thing, ship replicant. Weird thing.
You just gotta make friends with everything. Then nothing is scary. Just everything is your friend.
I mean, I did say we have more attempts if we want.
No one really wanted to do bio. I have no problem sharing this like behind the screen. So like if you don't like this, I'm sorry. But like my intention is basically very much the theme is like this is almost like a virus. Like it's like a replicating meme. And it's like whether or not it's actually living or not is somewhat debatable. And that's exactly what I wanted to explore because I know you all are super interested in VI stuff and as well as finding new species and that kind of thing. So I'm like, this is a good sweet spot. Also, I rolled for a threat at the start of the game and I got this. And I was like, this is awesome. So like, shout out to the rules and then shout out to the crew for letting me like come up with this cool threat here to explore. And we're seeing,
I whether or not something is an AI or not is a lovely, awesome topic. I love.
Exactly. There's a lot to drill into this and what, right? So
earlier when I was doing the whole like determining whether the consequences of an unevolved cultural, sociological train, I was just saying words and it made sense. So
you stumbled upon a. Jeez, that was a sentence.
Yeah.
So. Cool. Let's do some outros so we get out of here tonight. Remember, this was Free Spacer. This was the second episode of a multi-part series here Thursday nights. You can kickstart the game. It's currently live on Kickstarter. I'll link it in chat for everybody.
Yeah, get on that.
There it is. Zoff RA is the designer. They're here in chat helping us. And so that's it. I've been Eric. I've been your host. Let's go around and around the horn and do some outros here. So Adam, take it away.
Hello. I'm Adam Hackerblinks on Twitter. I do some of the music that you've heard tonight, which is a crazy time to have on a Twitch stream. And I do a bunch of other really boring stuff too. How about you, Alice?
Hi, I'm Alice, also known as Tafcat around the internet. You can find me on Twitter at TAFKAT_ or Patreon, where I make role-playing games and things like that. Also at Tafcat, TFKAT. Also, I stream, and I have emotes now, and they're pretty cool. So if you ever want to see me play games and stuff, same place, just on Twitch. So yeah.
I am and have been and will be Gene Dazer. I'm on Twitter at @Dazer, and I'm also on Patreon at Gene_Dazer. And I just did a recent revamp, and I'll be doing daily updates on RPG stuff, maps, stories, Meaty Bones, the RPG that I've designed, which is a quick start, improv, high, genre slottable RPG. It's all very exciting. And also, starting at midnight Pacific, 5 days a week, I do live streams for drawing. So that's always fun. You come and stop in at twitch.tv/theposhpanda. I almost forgot, but I did. Ben.
Hey, I'm Ben Dutter, game designer. You can find me by my name pretty much everywhere on the internet. Release a whole bunch of stuff. Check it out.
Yeah, cool. And yep, I've been Eric. I'm Eric Vulgaris everywhere. Tune in. Same free space time, same free space place. Thursdays. We're out of here tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. VODs will be up Tuesday, so check that out. All right, take care.